welcome. Those are here who are here. Thank you very much for joining us today. We will be getting started. It's going to be elementary genocide. If you have a pen or a piece of paper, you can go ahead and get some notes. If you want to take some notes, we will be discussing what we saw after the film is over. So you can chime in, let us know what you think. And it's a great forum for especially what's going on right now with the pandemic and the
I didn't
riots.
know I
And
didn't have this on.
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you?
Okay. All right. With the riots and everything. So, it's open. Everybody can be able to speak at the end, take notes. Everybody can come on and enjoy yourself. And then bring your information in. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you want to bring out, this is the forum to do it. A lot of times we don't have a place to express ourselves, but here you can express whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride because this is what we're going to do. Thank you very much for joining us. I like this right here. Mental slavery is the worst form of slavery. It gives you the illusion of freedom, makes you trust, love, and defend your oppressor while making an enemy of those who are trying to free you or open up your eyes. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. Elementary Genocide 2, we've been through Hidden Colors. Elementary Genocide 1, I'll be doing Elementary Genocide 3 next week, as well as coming up the $1 trillion game, the Moors, all kinds of things about our culture and our people, because we have to know who we are. If we don't know who we are, how can we go out and explain to others? It's another thing we're going to have to do is have economic power amongst our people, as we're starting to see now, buying black, spending our money with each other. And this is coming out to the forefront now. So enjoy what you're seeing. As Marcus Garvey said before, the new black code, be black, buy black, think black, and everything else will take care of itself. That's what I'm talking about. Group economics. Group economics is what we're doing. Intelligence rules the world. Ignorance carries the burden. Learn from our ancestors and our previous people who have come before us, and let's go ahead and learn from them. I love this one also. When brothers receive the call to consciousness, they gather around to organize. And what we have to do is organize. We have to organize what we're doing, how we're spending our dollars, so we can go out and have businesses, farms, our own shipping companies, whatever we need worldwide, globally. Let's build a nation to build into an empire. But it starts at home with your families. And that's why I think Elementary Genocide 2 is so important for us to see, so we can understand how we get in this predicament. And then at the end, let's see how we can get the solutions to come out of it together. If we as a people realize the greatness from which we came, we would be less likely to disrespect ourselves. Marcus Garvey said that as well. Love brother Marcus Garvey, and he gave us a blueprint on how to do things, and we're going to show you how to do that as well. I love this. My crown, my blood, my people, my land. Yes, we are. My blood is for the blood we shed. My people, of course, we are black, and my land is for what we have right here, the green pastures and all the food. And the crown, of course, is on our head. Look at that afro he's lifting up. We have shining bright. We shine bright. That's what we do. There's no room for depression here. We have to be progressive and go ahead and think wisely and use our intelligence and our creativity to move on in this world. Of course, that speaks for itself. I love that. Our family buys black. The question is, does yours? And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be putting our dollars where they go. I don't care where you get it from. You can work here with other cultures or whatever the case may be. And I'm not upset at other cultures. I love other cultures because they're doing it. Japan, they can't even have an army, but they use their technology. Sony, Toyota, Honda, they learned how to use their product to become one of the top nations in the world economically. And that's what we need to do. Not a problem. It's already been done before. All we have to do is follow suit. The Black CEO. As a Black CEO, I am unapologetic about the unique distinction that I represent in the marketplace. And I'm sure you all do too, because as CEOs, we need to learn how to become entrepreneurs so we can have our own income. No matter where you come from, we have to do it ourselves. No one is going to give it to us. Let's go out and take what we want instead of had our hand out at all times. An adult goes and takes what they want. A child is always asking for permission to do something. So let's go ahead and be adults about this and take what we want. And we have to get our children, elementary genocide, have them put their Black power fist up, have them graduating from school, This is what we need. This is our children. We have not only what you watch here, or if you're watching it with your child, go back into the community and pass this information on as well. I will be putting this up so we can watch it at a later date if you need be, but this is where we're here so we can have this open forum. I love Black people. That's right. I love Black people. I love you because I believe you, me, and we can change and transform the world and do whatever we want to do right here in our community. So with no further ado, let me see if it gets to playing for us. And it's going to be Elementary Genocide. Let us go.
The Board of Education versus the Board of Incarceration.
The Brown versus Board of Education, Supreme Court decision of May 17, 1954, was a watershed moment in the history of the Black civil rights movement in this country. But it also did more harm than good.
First of all, we have to define the word education. The 1968 speech done by H. Rep. Brown called The Politics of Education, he said that Black people in America are not educated, but they are trained.
The worst thing that it did was to destroy our own independent Black institutions.
So even though it brought Black children into white schools, it did not bring a representative amount of Black teachers into the white public schools.
Position held by Brown v. Board of Education was that there had to be equal treatment under the law in terms of education. Those who did not want to give up white skin privilege or harbored racist notions began to agitate different types of education.
So if you don't change the mindset of the teachers, if you don't change the mindset of the system, then Brown versus Board of Education does more harm.
I would argue that there's no difference between the Black codes of Reconstruction and the educational and legal policy of the United States public schools, as well as the criminal and justice system.
Because of the fact that if you fail, it's a good chance you're going into the prison system. So you're going to serve and you're going to build this country through that type of servitude. If you pass and you got good grades, you go out, you get a master's degree, and you go work in corporate America, you're still going to build a society.
The schools fail on purpose because they have to guarantee that Black folk remain the economic and political and social underclass of America. And in order to do that, you have to make sure Black children are not given a winning chance in America's public schools. Schools are designed to fail Black children to prevent a radical shifting of the power alignment in American society.
The whole purpose of education is to facilitate racism, is to make sure that African people do not know who we are and how to function as economic entities in this society.
Education is indoctrination if you're white, subjugation if you're Black. So that means that we are subjugated by education, meaning that it's used to conquer us, it's used to control us. So when I think about the school to prison pipeline, I think about an institution that is strategically designed not only to give me dishumanizing messages, but also to send me to prison.
African American youth are 6 times more likely, Latino youth 3 times more likely to be suspended or arrested in school than their white counterparts for the same offense.
The laws are designed to select and search out for children who have been undereducated so that they can use them as the economic cannon fodder in an ever-increasing mass incarceration system. The sad thing about it is everyone knows that if you miseducate a child, you create a criminal by virtue of the miseducation. The average reading level of an African-American male inmate in the United States of America is the 3rd grade.
There's plenty of money being invested, but it's invested in their demise. The United States was built off of slavery. It was built off of capitalism. So it's only right that they continue that system. In order to continue that system, they got to make sure that that there are folks to fill those beds. They got to make sure that there are inmates.
I think that there's definitely a disparity between our children and European children. they spend more money imprisoning lower class people than they do upper class people. So it's a class system also. It's part of an economic system that creates free labor.
The prison industrial complex is the largest employer of people in the United States of America.
I was sitting in a restaurant during my 2008 Green Party Power to the People campaign, and a van pulled up, and a group of young men got out, and they were reporting to work. Those young men were prisoners, but they were reporting to work at a corporation, providing free labor to a corporation.
Black people in this country constitute a labor force that has evolved and developed out of the system of first chattel slavery and then Jim Crow segregation. As far as the white supremacist system that we're living under is concerned, we are expendable. And the only way to make a profit off of our existence is through prison.
Police have killed young, unarmed Black and Latino men.
We do live in a society and in a system that believes that those Black and brown kids, particularly poor Black and brown kids, just aren't as worthy as those pretty little white kids out in the suburbs. That's the underlying philosophy that leads to this economic disparity, which I don't know if that's ever going to change because the government does not like you. It does not feel any remorse for what it's done to Black men and women over the last 400 years. They won't even apologize for slavery. Think about that. They won't even apologize for slavery.
The education system is the precursor to the prison system. It sort of prepares you in advance. You know, they begin to criminalize the youth at a young age.
Black and brown people look for leaders while other ethnicities build systems, because the system is the solution. It's all by design and has always been by design, because no system in this country was set up for the empowerment and upliftment of Black people.
The Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision of May 17, 1954, was a watershed moment in the history of the Black civil rights movement in this country. But it also did more harm than good.
I believe that the Brown versus Board of Education, as well as the civil rights movement's push for racial equality, is essential. It's not as if it stopped us from our progress. What stopped us from our progress was our will to continue to fight. Some people got comfort, and as a result of that comfort, they have not fought on.
Brown versus the Board of Education struck down de jure segregation. That is segregation by law.
It's something that was probably inevitable. It's something that was good if used in the right context, but ultimately, I think that we can all agree that integration has been an absolute failure for the Black community. Desegregation might have been a success, but integration was a failure.
When you read some of the decisions of the judges of the Supreme Court, the dissenting opinion was written by one of the justices who argued that he did not agree with school desegregation, but supported the decision because he felt that American public schools would still be able to accomplish the goal of miseducating Black children, even while they were allowed to attend white public schools.
Was it a watershed moment? At that particular time, many people felt it was, but it resulted in our valuable teachers leaving our community. It also put our most precious commodity, our children, in the hands of people who didn't have our best interests at heart.
1968 speech done by H. Rep. Brown called The Politics of Education. He said that Black people in America are not educated, but they are trained. So we have to ask the question, since all warfare is based on deception, and we know that we are at war with the Caucasian of the European. So who was behind Brown versus the Board of Education?
Brown v. Board of Education was a consolidation of cases. Who were working on those cases for many years, tried to get state governments to comply with separate but equal. That was the law of the land at that particular time. Many of them just refused. And that's really why the legal strategy steered more towards integration. The litigators realized that the court was going to never give them separate but equal.
When you put Black children into a situation where you're now integrated and nothing has changed, white supremacy is still alive and well, you start to think about things like Dr. King later in his life, when he's wondering, is this push for integration leading people into a burning house?
It's in 2 parts. So the first part was to desegregate schools, which essentially dismantle special races in the United States. The second part was the actual law. I said, okay, now we've got to dismantle the system and start instituting rules like busing, moving Black folks to different neighborhoods, white students to different neighborhoods.
What type of people were being produced before 1954? W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Carter G. Woodson, Marcus Garvey, and the list goes on and on and on and on. These people who were independent thinkers, these people who did what? By and large, they self-taught and self-educated themselves. Because as Carter G. said in the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, he said the best education that is to be desired is the one that one's given to self, not that is given to self by someone else.
We were not integrated into the public system and learning through the school system like we were. So being integrated into that system, being able to learn, being able to read, write, all those things were good. But when you look at education in 2015, it's just not the same education. Actually, it's a watered down version of what we actually started at. So when we look at what we have now versus what we started in, yes, Brown versus Board of Education was a good movement. It was much needed. But when we look at the education and the public education that we have now, it's doing more harm than good.
So after the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education, guess what? We went from a self-educated and a self-taught and a self-actualized and realized people to now we're people who are basically, we're brainwashed, okay? We're people who are told what to do. We're people who are told what to think, told where to go. So now we went from a people being independent to primarily dependent of the system now.
I think we sometimes are fooled into mistaking education from indoctrination, not realizing that sometimes when I quote unquote educate you, I'm not really educating you as much as I am assimilating you. And so I think ultimately, at the end of the day, when we don't think of education as a tool to liberate our minds, to allow ourselves to think freely, to make our own decisions, to be the people that we're meant to be, then we can miss the whole point. I mean, you could go to Harvard, Yale, and Stanford and all these white schools and get this really so-called good education. But at the end of the day, if all that's done is assimilated you and turned you into a white boy with black skin, then you become a failure and a liability to your community in many contexts.
We have to ask ourselves, did the United States government really intend to help Black children? And if they did, why would they not financially support already segregated schools and quote unquote inadequate Black schools and help those schools to be stronger foundation for learning for young Black children?
It certainly didn't dismantle the ideology that promotes white supremacy and white racism. It just decoded from the law, Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896, and said, okay, we can't legally do this, but de facto segregation exists. And the worst thing that it did was to destroy our own independent Black institutions.
When the schools desegregated, it caused several major problems. Number one, it took away the ownership that the Black community had over the education of its own children. No people allows another people to educate their children. The Brown versus Board of Education decision did just that. It shut down record numbers of independent Black community schools. Also, that decision really hurt the amount of African-American teachers that existed in America. Because with the Brown decision, with the desegregation of the public schools, many Black teachers not only lost their jobs when the school integrated, but were not able to find jobs in mainstream American public schools because the Brown decision only integrated, allegedly, the students.
It never integrated the teachers.
We know that integration did not help the Black community, but segregation certainly doesn't help the Black community because we deserve to have freedom. The question is, are you intelligent and conscientious enough to know what to do with your freedom? You see, when a fool has access to freedom, they're going to make foolish, stupid decisions that are going to put them back into slavery anyway. So, same thing. When we were allowed to integrate or desegregate, rather than using that as an opportunity to build our own communities in a conscientious way, we ran for the white man's money. We said, oh, well, the white man's community must be better. His schools must be better. Working for him must be better. And then you let your stuff burn to the ground. You didn't have to do it that way. You could go work with the white folks and do whatever it is you're going to do. Get that money, bring it back home. That's what the Chinese are doing. They'll send their kids to America to get educated. Then they bring them back home and say, let's start building China.
After so-called integration, which was really desegregation, because we're still not integrated. Guess why? Because 85% of Caucasians still live on one side of town, 85% of Blacks live on the other side of town. So we were never integrated. What integrated? Our dollars into their pockets. Okay? We have to understand that before integration, guess what? The dollar bill circulated at least 33 times in the Black community. Today, the dollar bill circulates 7 hours and then it's gone. So when you want to talk about Brown versus the Board of Education being the watershed moment, yes, it was the watershed moment for everybody else. Just like I tell people, do you know who civil rights was for? Civil rights was not for Black people, because before 1968, the only person in this country who was considered a minority was Black people. After 1968, everybody who was not a Caucasian male gets a minority.
A proposition held by Brown v. Board of Education was that there had to be equal treatment under the law in terms of education. Of course, that led to a whole plethora of responses, both from the right and from the left. Those who did not want to give up white skin privilege, who still harbored racist notions, began to agitate different types of educational formats. Private education and busing became an issue.
Regardless of having Brown versus Board of Education, we were supposed to dismantle this caste system in which we were developing communities of our own, schools of our own, independent Black institutions. Teachers were fired. They were not transferred to the predominantly white schools. The actual implementation of Brown versus Board, which was Brown 2, looked much more like selecting Black students to go to white schools versus busing or moving white students into Black communities, even though those schools for white students might have been closer to them.
But the problem with Brown v. the Board of Education is that it was a reform of segregation, segregated schools of the South, of institutional racism. You can't reform institutional racism, you have to abolish it. The only way to abolish institutional racism is to abolish the institutions that practice it.
Board of Education sacrificed one of our most important social institutions outside of the Black church.
So if you don't change the mindset of the teachers, if you don't change the mindset of the system, then Brown versus Board of Education does more harm than good.
Yes, our schools were underfunded. Yes, our schools may have not had the resources they need. But at the same time, our schools were able to provide our children with the love, with the nurturance, with the self-respect, with the appropriate lessons they needed in order to be able to survive white supremacy.
It was never about educating Black children. It was about putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound and making it seem like integration and racial equality was the goal, which it never was.
The first premise of warfare is deception. In Sun Tzu, The Art of War, he says, if you want to defeat your enemy, when you're close, make them think you're far away. When you have little support, make them think you have a lot of support. When you have a lot of support, make them think, everything is deception. But Black people in America, we're the only people who believe that everything is fair. And everything is not fair. So when you look at education and what the Brown and Board decision did to Black people, we no longer have those type of thinkers who built organizations, who built boards, who built committees, who built companies. Now everybody, when they get out of school, they want to go work for somebody. Wow. So again, we have to ask ourselves the question, what did the Brown versus Board of Education really do for Black people?
Constitute a labor force that has evolved and developed out of a system of first chattel slavery and then Jim Crow segregation. Having this unique history means that for us, prison has become the new plantation.
The United States invests more money in the prison system than the education system. There's plenty of money being invested, but it's invested in their demise. The United States was built off of slavery. It was built off of capitalism. So it's only right that they continue that system. In order to continue that system, they got to make sure that there are folks to fill those beds.
And we're living in a type of society today where the rich control the political system. In such an arrangement, given our history as Africans in the diaspora, given our history here in terms of chattel slavery, we have evolved into a position of surplus labor. There are too many black potential workers, black youth, for the present system to absorb in a meaningful way. There's no jobs for our children. There's few jobs for even professionals or college graduates. So therefore, there's this huge pool of potential workers who have nothing to invest in the system, who cannot find a job, and who are potentially a threat. So in order to deal with that huge pool of labor, they have created the school-to-prison pipeline, the white supremacist system that we're living under is concerned. We are expending. And the only way to make a profit off of our existence is through prison.
Slavery never stopped. It just changed forms. Okay, we went from slavery, we went to Jim Crow, and we went to what's called the new Jim Crow right now, which is that the prison industry. When we talk about the prison industry, we're talking about a $450 billion a year industry. It's only right that they are able to make this money through privatized prisons, make this money through this free labor. America really doesn't give a damn about educating our youth. They're more concerned about indoctrinating them to the slave system.
They are training students to function on a certain level in society, whether it's in terms of illegitimate capitalists or a criminal, because that's all a criminal is, illegitimate capitalists. Corruption in America has been legalized. It's been legalized since its founding, okay? So people who do not fit into this scenario are forced into illegitimate capitalists. They become the hustlers, they become the drug dealers, they become the alternative economy in our community. Usually they're dropouts from school. So schooling and education in this society is certain classes of individuals and certain castes of people are funneled into various areas of the economy, whether as cannon fodder in the military or as prisoners for private companies. We know the history of chain gangs in the South. This was the blatant expression of using prisoners to raise capital. We have corporations that employ prison labor to manufacture certain things to sold on the market.
The penitentiaries have pretty much been built and expanded for black men, but not all black men. Mainly uneducated black men, particularly poor uneducated black men, are the ones that are most likely to end up in the penitentiary because that is officially and technically a modern day form of slavery. A lot of people think that it's just sort of a colorful analogy to compare the prison system to slavery, but actually the 13th Amendment does not abolish slavery. It says that if you are convicted of a felony, then you can't be made into a slave.
Yeah, so it's kind of poetic justice, right, for Georgia to have one of the highest dropout rates, one of the highest failure rates, a growing exponential privatized prison industry, particularly in the rural South. It's kind of sold to those white communities that this is going to save their communities. So pay the bill taken out of prison, Georgia, we'll put prison here. We're going to hire all of you guys to work in this prison, and it's going to be a great boon to the community, right? But it's really not a boon to them. So it's kind of poetic that Georgia, that really is leading the way in Black disenfranchisement, started as a peanut colony.
Prison is big business in this nation, so it's no coincidence that we have the highest incarceration rate. And that's not incarceration rate per capita, that's just incarceration rate. Special education is the missing link in the school to prison pipeline. It's not being talked about enough. We talk about the school to prison pipeline, but special ed is the main pipe in that system because it is special ed that allows the child to be legally undereducated and under No Child Left Behind regulations today. Special education children will largely be exempt from receiving high school diplomas because in most states now, the special ed child is expected to do as well as the regular ed child on the state assessments, which means a lot of special education children. And I'm seeing this across the country because I deal with the parents. A lot of African American and Latino special education children are not receiving high school diplomas in June. They are receiving certificates of completion, a piece of paper, which is not a legal document, that says your child came to school for 12 years, learned almost nothing, but we want to acknowledge the time spent, and here's a piece of paper that you can hang on.
And a good example of that is the recent Kids for Cash scandal, taking cash for kids. And it worked this way. The agreement was reached that the private entrepreneur would invest money into building a new juvenile facility. You know, to make money and get money back on your investment, you have to fill the prison up. And so the judges agreed that they would send kids there. Here's where the problem lies, okay? We have a very serious problem in this country in that we don't know how to deal with crime and behavior. And we need to smarten up. And what I mean by that is that, you know, people don't commit crimes because of the color of their skin. They commit crimes because of the circumstances they live in and the circumstances around them. And the fact of the matter is, we know that people of color are still disproportionately represented in poor communities. Now, I can go into my thoughts on that, but suffice it to say, the reason why I believe that we have still too many people of color in poor neighborhoods and living in or at the poverty level is because of the histrionics of slavery and segregation. You know, you don't just simply take 300 plus years of where people of my complexion, when white folks have dug a hole, basically threw people of color into that hole, enslaving them, and then telling them they can't drink out of the same water fountain, they can't walk on the same side of the street or sidewalk with a white person. You have to look down, you can't look at them. And then here we are this year, the 60th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education, where we reversed Plessy versus Ferguson, then the 1964 Voting Rights Act, and all of a sudden there's all these legal freedoms, and we really think that just because there's all these legal freedoms have been achieved, that all these people of color who've been thrown down this hole for 300 plus years, for generation upon generation upon generations, able to get out of that hole just because there's overnight legal freedoms. When it's in fact going to take generations to help them get out of the hole, because when you've thrown them down there, you said, you can't read or write, you can't get a job, we are going to treat you differently in a very negative way, and they're supposed to get out of that hole. The answer is no. And that's why we still have too many people of color in that, what I call the invisible prison of poverty, because many are still trying to get out of that hole. And we are fooling ourselves if we think that we're living today in a free society where everyone is equal just because we can point to Brown versus Board of Education, or we can point to the 1964 Voting Rights Act.
America incarcerates more of its citizens than any country in the world, which is a tragedy in itself, but the fact that it's concentrated on such a tiny percentage of the population. You're talking about black men, 6.5% of the American population enduring the bulk of the worst incarceration system in the world. That's an absolute tragedy for the black community. And so you can't have a tragedy of that proportion without planning ahead in advance, without implementing systems that are designed to maintain and sustain that tragedy on that level.
The flip side to that is the whole connection of gentrification. Here we have 3-4 areas which were at one time predominantly black: Oakland, California, the New York metro area, Philadelphia. These are areas where mass amounts of black men should be working, should be taking care of their children, are now incarcerated and making money for the state and making money for the federal government and the prison industrial complex. And now we have a lack of Black men in the community to not only protect the women and children, but to also add to the financial gain of the family. So all of these cities have been slowly but surely gentrified over the past 20 to 30 years. So not only is there a direct connection between the school to prison pipeline, but there's a direct connection in gentrification.
And what's also happening here, and this is the economic motivation that's occurring here, and this is why the school to prison pipeline is so valuable for the people that are making this work, that are maintaining these systems. They're making money off of this now. Now corporations are taking jobs that they would normally offer regular Americans, maybe making $20, $30 an hour, and they're giving those jobs to prison inmates. So unfortunately, if you are a poor, uneducated, young Black man in America, the best place for you to find a job is in prison. So it's really all about a system that occurs from the time that boy is born. It doesn't happen by accident.
What is leading our young Black men from leaving school and turning them into the streets, and then what is criminalizing them to the point where the United States government, as well as the private-owned prison industrial complexes, can begin to profit off of them financially?
So effectively, Black men end up getting locked up because Black men are scary to white people. Black men are very profitable to white people, and they feel that Black people deserve it because we're not as human as white people.
Schools are designed to fail Black children to prevent a radical shifting of the power alignment in American society.
Schools are a means to educate people, and the purpose of that education is so that they become functional, productive citizens. So it has to create an alternative for them. It has to create a system that can profit from their ignorance, can profit from their very existence, but at the same time, not empower.
The school to prison pipeline is real. What it is it's a set of circumstances that are consistent across communities, where from the time a child enters a school who's of color, his behavior is criminalized. So it's made to believe that when he's done something, he needs to be suspended or expelled for it. Whereas children who are white or Asian could do those very same things and are given alternative punishments.
Well, when I talk about the school to prison pipeline, I have to go to Brother James Baldwin. Education is indoctrination if you're white, subjugation if you're Black. So that means that we are subjugated by education, meaning that it's used to conquer us, it's used to control us. So when I think about the school to prison pipeline, I think about an institution that is strategically designed not only to give me dishumanizing messages, but also to send me to prison.
The school to prison pipeline is basically institutionalized racism that creates schools and systems of containment that look a lot like prisons, right? So there are bells, there are metal detectors that you have to go through, there are armed security, there are SROs, which are student resource officers, what we call them in Atlanta. There are administrative officials that function less like business that run or handle the business of education. They function more like security guards or prison guards. What happens is you start to inculcate or indoctrinate African American Latino youth to believe that this is what school looks like. And clearly you start to have rebellion, which is what is kind of expected. So once the students start to act out in ways, because this environment is confrontational, their environment is disrespectful, their environment is not one of learning or one of love or any of that. Their environment is one of antagonism. When they walk into that building, they start to behave in ways that signal rebellion. And all that does is remove you from that one institution to another institution, which is the juvenile justice center. Oftentimes, if you look at schools, they're not too far from the jails. So the prison industrial complex is fed by the school to prison pipeline. So when we filter them, because they're going to act out in this environment, into the prisons, they know how to function in that system.
Why do you send me to prison? So I can't be an active member of society and participate to my full potential. So what happens in schools is that students are being relegated to a system that is oppressive. And I don't know where you're from, but I've never known oppressors to be the best teachers of freedom.
Black people have been educated to be functional inferiors.
We receive an education, but we receive an inferior education. So in other words, we're still going to be functional in a society. We're going to work, we're going to go to school, we're going to pay taxes, we're going to do all of these things that are synonymous with being a quote-unquote American, but we're always going to do it from an inferior position relative to white people. You see, that is the purpose of miseducation. That is the purpose of creating an educational construct that purposely misinforms and miseducates African children so that they will be compliant to the status quo, so that they will recognize their place and function in it from an inferior position. So that is the same way that we function during chattel enslavement. And that is the same way the Black codes were written, to purposely keep Black people in a functional inferior position relative to white people.
When we start taking kids who are making poor decisions, and quite frankly, we anticipate that because this part of the brain is not developed till age 25, the prefrontal cortex. Kids are neurologically wired to do stupid things. And that's why we have juvenile courts for kids, because we know this is still developing, and therefore their opportunity for rehabilitation is much higher than it is for adults. When we start putting handcuffs on them, marching them out to a patrol car in front of their peers, that's traumatic. That is toxic. And that scars the brain and can stunt their mental health development, adolescent development in a very negative way. We are making them worse. And when we mix up the kids who make us mad with the kids who scare us, we risk taking the kids who make us mad by making them worse and turning them into the kids who will scare us. That's the problem.
Remove the opportunity for these children to actually ever receive an education. What you'll find in many communities is that as many as 70 to 80% of the inmates can't read. When you take the criminalization of the children's behavior and you add to that the loss of access to literacy because of ineffective teaching, you see a very clear pipeline from school to prison.
For young Black boys in particular, you see, number one, there is a concerted effort to ensure that either they are uneducated or miseducated. There is a media that is consistently bombarding these young Black men with imagery, basically encouraging these young Black men to stay high and drunk, get involved in illegal activity. It reminds me of when Malcolm X used to say that the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then lock you up for being drunk.
We need to really address this dynamic, this dialectic of how schools function in a modern capitalist society that's essentially an oligarchy and in which democratic freedoms no longer exist for the citizens of this country.
When you look at our school system today and the overcriminalization of our youth, it all goes back to the school. Early suspension, expels from being expelled in school for Black and brown kids at a higher rate than our white counterparts. All that is set up as that pipeline that's going to continue to push our children from the school system into a prison system, puts us in a certain category, and that certain category is defined by those who are making the policies and procedures that continue to put us in one class in order to set us up for normally what's headed our way, which is normally the prison system.
In Atlanta, over 80% of the children are Black. And the South now has the highest increases in incarceration, especially for young juveniles, especially for Black boys. In New York, in 2014, in over 90 schools, not one Black or Latino passed the state exams. We have children now who are being taken out of the general population of school and being put in remedial classes because they are not passing state exams.
I would argue that there's no difference between the Black codes of Reconstruction, the Jim Crow laws of the 40s through the 60s, and there's no difference between them and the educational and legal policies of the United States public schools, as well as
the criminal and justice system. It's identical. The laws are designed to select and search out for children who have been undereducated so that they can use them as the economic cannon fodder in an ever-increasing mass incarceration system. The sad thing about it is everyone knows that if you miseducate a child, you create a criminal by virtue of the miseducation. The average reading level of an African-American male inmate in the United States of America is the 3rd grade. Even if he went into the 12th grade, he can only read to the 3rd grade. How do you explain a child or an inmate who can only read on the 3rd grade level, but been in school up until the 12th? More Black children drop out of high school in the 9th grade than any other grade. Why is that? Because 9th grade is the year of the reality check. When you get the 9th grade, if you don't have the basic skills to complete the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, there's few people inside of the high school who would be willing to help you. And so many of our children, embarrassed, hurt, disappointed, and saddened over the fact that from K to 8, they have not been taught how to read, write, or count correctly. They simply drop out to hide the shame of the effects of their miseducation.
So when you look at those budgets, $1 billion, $300 million for a public school system, that is failure.
We look at the situation in Philadelphia. I believe 23 schools closed in 2013. When we look at the situation in Chicago, 49 schools closed in 2013. And they're sending these children not to better schools, not to better neighborhoods to be better educated, but to schools that are already worn down, schools that are already struggling financially. And now they're overcrowded, and these are teachers who are already overburdened and suffering, trying to teach children in a system that is doing everything to keep them from being educated. So we can look at Chicago and Philadelphia, for example, and see a direct connection, because Philadelphia, not only did they decide to close 23 schools in 2013, but the governor also approved a new $400 million prison.
Just recently, we've had 300 teachers laid off within the past couple of weeks. And at the same time, we've given the police in the city of Trenton a 12% raise. So when you say, okay, I'm gonna give the police a 12% raise, but I'm gonna lay off 300 teachers, it just goes to show you where that priority goes. And it comes down to money, man. We have to start looking at who is accountable for our public school system. A lot of politicians run on the platform that they have our kids' best interests at heart, but the fact of the matter is that there's no accountability when it comes to education of our children. And if there's no accountability, you have $1 billion school budget where you spend $1 billion a year for a spelling system that's only graduating 48% of our students.
NCTE, which is the National Council of Teacher Education, they are composed of white male business owners, and they teach teachers, first of all, curriculum. They set the standards of what it takes for a teacher to be accepted in a teacher credential program. They set the curriculum as to what the teacher is going to be taught, and they also have a big stronghold on the curriculum in the school systems. They, being white males, they have a direct pipeline into the schools. In that sense, the white male business owners, let me be clear. So you're talking about the Koch brothers. Those are the folks who set the standards. They set the standards for not just the teachers, but also the way that education is implemented.
School person pipeline is really built on the idea of having certain kids, mostly Black and brown kids, educated in a different way, managed in a different way, punished in a different way, in such a way that there is a percentage of those individuals that are going to end up in the penitentiary.
And once they're branded with the mark of Cain, like 65 million other Americans in this country, once they have that criminal record, they have a set of invisible punishments that kick in, also known as collateral consequences, which can affect their ability to vote, serve on the jury, run for public office, get a barber's license, live in public housing, get federal financial student aid,
I had a 3.8 GPA and 2 basketball scholarships as well to LSU and Wake Forest. 2 weeks after graduating from high school, I was arrested for 11 counts of armed robbery and 5 counts of aggravated assault. I was facing 135 years in prison just for being the driver of the car. From that, instead of taking it to trial, I agreed to take a plea bargain. When I faced the judge, she looked at me and she understood and she said, hey, look, I can't give you the slap on the wrist because you knew exactly what you were doing the first time, the second time, the 11th time. However, I see that, there's greatness in you and that, after the sentence, you will not get in trouble. So I was sentenced to 10 years to serve 4 years in prison. When you're younger or as a teenager, you have the perception that you can go to prison, get street credit, come out, life turns back to normal. Well, I quickly found out that that is not true.
These ex-offenders never got a helping hand in the first place. We might as well be pushing them back into crime. That's what the system does in many places, and here in Georgia, and we're trying to undo that.
When I was locked up, and probably still today, cutting hair and being a barber in prison was the thing, and a lot of brothers learned how to do it and do it well. But in the state of New York, you can't get a barber's license. So those are the consequences of being convicted, coming home, and being able to try to reintegrate yourself back into society. You have so many roadblocks that are put up in your way.
I believe just in the human capacity of the 2.2 million people who we're putting in cages in this country. I believe that they can be contributors to this society, they can take care of their families, they can be productive members. Vast majority of them didn't even need to go to a cage in the first place.
Collateral Damages was a report released in 2014 by the American League of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And what collateral damage talked about was the 45,000 collateral damages that ex-offenders face once they come home, once they're completed their sentence, once they completed parole or probation, paid off their fines. There are still laws, ordinances, whether it's on the state, federal, local, county, city law, or books that continue to hamper those who are looking to reintegrate back into society. And those laws and those regulations that are put in place to keep our people from reintegrating back to society must be dismantled, at least one at a time.
Is going to prison or being incarcerated a setup? Do I think that's a setup? Yes, because statistically they say you're more likely to go back to prison 3 years after your release. Well, I can see how that can happen when they deny you from everything or any other chance or opportunity because of a criminal background. Not everybody that goes in prison or comes out wants to go back in there or wants to create another crime. But when you're faced with all these barriers, what am I supposed to do?
We need to start making a different kind of investment in those that we traditionally have thrown away. Because the bottom line is you can't throw those people away because they are still alive. They are still breathing. They are still in our communities. And if we treat them like trash, then all we're really doing is creating a trashy community. When we think we're making the community better, when we send people to prison, they're gonna come back. The question is, what condition are they going to be in when they come back?
These teenagers already know if you commit a crime or because of the color of your skin or if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, you're going to go to jail. But what they don't know, I don't think the intensity or the great impact of going to jail is once you get out and having that criminal background.
Black codes in the post-Civil War era were a response by the white establishment to newly freed slaves and them wanting to still control them.
When you study the Black codes and you study the environment and the climate in America at that time, it was basically written into law that Black people in certain areas of southern states, Confederate states, couldn't hold a certain job. You had to be a farmer or a servant in South Carolina. Those were the only jobs you could have. And if you had a different job outside of that, you had to pay a fine, restricting the movement and the ability of Black people to basically become self-sufficient, making them sign labor contracts in order to be indebted. For a year, you had to work for this person, and if you didn't work for this person, you could be fined or be put in jail.
So they instituted a set of laws that have been referred to as Black codes that criminalize behavior that Black folk were more likely to engage in, resulted in their subsequent imprisonment, and then they were convict leased out to the very sharecroppers and landowners that they had just recently been freed from.
Those laws were designed to basically maintain white power structure and to fortify and support the caste system. So instead of having enslaved Africans at the bottom, you create pretty much a feudal system or a manorial system that we saw in Europe around the 13th, 14th century. And if you look at some of the language about with the dismantlement of enslavement in America, this is the only time that you are not enslaved is when you're a free person and unless you're in prison, right? So when you're in prison, you're not a free person anymore. So the same treatment that you would get as an enslaved person pre-Civil War is the same treatment that you are allowed by law to receive in the criminal justice system.
Today, when we look at young Black men in Tulsa or Oklahoma City, I believe there's a law that has been introduced where they want to criminalize Black boys, or anyone for that matter, but it's geared towards Black boys for wearing hoodies.
Now we have these huge prisons that we didn't see pre-Civil War that we see now, right? And they've just grown now. So today, you would be incarcerated, stopped and frisked, right? Put in the jail, and your body gets attached to a number. Your number represents a certain amount of labor, and you're working for these companies, Microsoft Correction Corps, Boeing Jet, Victoria's Secrets, and you're not being paid a wage. So it's very similar. It's really just another way to skin a cat.
The Black codes really just criminalize being Black. All right, so one of the things that you have to remember is that everybody talks about souls of Black folks, but Du Bois has a great work he did in 1935 called Black Reconstruction, where he talks about the psychological wage of whiteness. So what happens in Reconstruction is that even if I'm a poor white person, that I am given a psychological wage, meaning something in my psyche makes me believe that I'm better than the lowest Black person just because I am white. And that psychological wage is very important because that's what America is built on. There is a benefit package, like a 401k, that happens when you are white.
You're either free or you're a slave. And the only way that you are free is when you no longer feel death or imprisonment. So when we begin to talk about who the real criminals are, because it was criminals that came and stole this land, like our brother El-Haj Malik El-Shabar said, Brother Malcolm X. He said, every law that you locked me up for breaking, you had to break every one of those laws to establish this country. You stole, you lied, you cheated. Everything that you locked a Black man and woman up for, you had to break every one of those laws to establish what we know today as the United States of America.
I would say for our ancestors, if you go way back, 200 years ago, we weren't even allowed to get an education. I mean, that's I think, what we have to remember when it comes to just having access to education.
There's a need to teach Black youth from an Afrocentric perspective, as there is a need in all cultures for people to be taught from their own perspective, from their own social paradigms. So in America, we're taught from a very Eurocentric perspective that doesn't take into account our traditions, our cultures, our belief systems, the way we eat, our notions of time, right? Our notions of love, family, and community. And when you superimpose an alien system on top of people, they're going to reject it.
The way that the classroom is set up in rows, that is a Eurocentric or European model. The proper way to educate African children is circular. What the circle represents is equality, that all of us that are in this circle of cipher are equal to everybody else. But when you have a classroom that is structured in a traditional way that the classroom is, where you have rows and children up front and children in the back, it creates this sense of superior and inferior in the education process itself. You see, so that's one difference. The other difference is the cognitive style of learning of African children. African children learn by way of rhythm. There has to be a rhythmic flow to the way that we dispense information to our children. And then we also have to be keenly aware of how the information, once understood, is returned back to us. So now reciprocity is important. The giving of the information, the understanding of the information that is received, and then now the imparting of the information, once it's being understood, given back to the educator. And they can speak it in their own language. They're not using the same words that the educator may use, but the context of the information is essentially the same.
Our culture is based on interactional learning, collectivist learning, bidirectional effectivism, which means that the teacher learns from the children as much as the children learn from the teacher, so the teacher can do a better job teaching the children. Teaching is a reflective art, just like therapy. When I'm doing therapy, I have to learn from my patient to do a better job providing therapy to that patient. A teacher has to learn from their students in order to provide a better job of giving instruction to those students. But in American education, it is one-directional and one-dimensional, where the teacher teaches, the child receives, and the child is never really able to offer any type of constructive criticism to the teacher about how they are teaching, which means the child always gets blamed when the teacher cannot teach.
A lot of times when white women come into these communities, they come with that very missionary kind of mentality that they have imbued in them all of this knowledge and goodness, and they're going to come save these wretched children from the wretched community. And they view the parents as the problem. They view the neighborhood as the problem. They view the culture as a problem. If you go into an African-American school system, predominantly African-American, you have no idea about the culture, you know nothing of it. But not only you know nothing of it, you have no respect for it. And the only thing you have from it is that it's pathologized, it's sick, it's single-parent homes, crack, and rap music. That's how you perceive Black culture. So when you go into that environment, again, most of the teacher population, an overwhelming number, 70% white women that are going into these urban environments with this kind of missionary zeal and lack of respect for African Black culture.
Well, there is always going to be a need for Black children to be taught from an Afrocentric perspective. Why? Because that is the natural disposition of us as African people. So when you talk about Afrocentricity, one of the huge separations between how we're taught in the school system is that we know that white supremacy is based on the principle of individuality and greed. Well, Black folks, we are communal people, so already we have a community orientation. So you need to feed into that in your education system. Also, we know from the research of Dr. Joseph White that having a healthy African-American personality, one in which you love yourself, one which you are given love and human recognition, that you're more successful. Because if you want to do something very difficult, try to get young people to love themselves when white supremacy is on their back. So just doing that will help in the school system, because we have to remember that our invitation to America was not a great boat ride where they passed out chicken wings and Kool-Aid, that we were enslaved. So when you're dealing with the same system that enslaved you, you can't rely on that education system to educate you.
Our children should be continuously celebrated and appraised for being who they are naturally, and not made to go into school systems that's stripping them of their cultural identity and making them to be something that they are not.
I'm completely in the Umar Johnson school of thought when it comes to the fact that Black kids need to be educated in Black schools run by Black people, but they can still go to a white school during the day where they're learning how white people operate. You have to learn and understand white people to make money in a white society and to survive in a white society. I think that's okay. But when that child comes home, you got evenings, you got weekends, you got summertime, That's when you truly educate your child. That's when you teach that young black boy how to be a good husband and father. That's when you teach him how to be a good black man. That's when you teach him how to start his own business. That's when you teach him the things that he needs to know as a black man to make it in this society. The same thing is true for young black girls.
American society is based on economic and social hierarchy. A society based on hierarchy and privilege cannot allow all children to receive a quality education. If you allow all children to receive a quality education, children from the underclass, purely by guaranteeing that they're doing a good job with education, could rival the aristocracy for their place of control over the society. Because education is the most revolutionary institution, if done correctly, it also follows that education must be the most corrupt institution in society if you have a segment of your population that you're trying to keep down and oppress.
Do black people really understand about the chessboard that we're at? They see what I'm saying? Like black people, I would say at the 90% level, still see they would like to be integrated with and we can all just get along. The white people understand that if we did the Martin Luther King thing where everybody is loving everybody else and that it gets translated into sex, then white people will disappear. This is what their war is all about. Not being genetically annihilated in survival. They say, so that's not what they're about. If we begin to understand that, it's not about teaching children to hate white people, it's just teaching children, first of all, for we ourselves to understand what it is about people who classify themselves as white, who for the past 500 years have not been able to relate to black people with justice.
Ms. Wilson, who was an icon in Black education, and talks about how white supremacy functions in terms of indoctrinating youth about certain beliefs, right? So one of the beliefs, there's this overwhelming materialism that kind of undergirds America, period, but it has a very bizarre effect on Black youth, right? So the media sends you this message that you should have this, have all these material things, but doesn't really give you a means by which to acquire that. So there are no jobs, no real jobs, but to rap or to dance. So, and rap music, unfortunately, has been really instrumental in kind of reaffirming it and of that notion of materialism and having things.
So when you look at the education of the black male, which does not just take place in school, you see the holistic education where when he goes to school, he's not being taught the things that are going to make him a liberated human being. At best, in many cases, he may walk in and think he's going to be an athlete or a rapper. And then when he gets out of school, he's getting further educated by mass media, mainly by hip-hop, so-called hip-hop culture, which this stuff on the radio really isn't hip-hop. I mean, it's a bastardization of corporatized hip-hop that's been bought up by white men and distributed as genocidal psychological poison onto the minds of young black men. So he's being fed this identity of himself that makes him complicit in this effort to effectively put him in that prison pipeline. So by the time he turns 17, 18 years old, a couple things have happened. Number one, his reading levels, maybe about 4th or 5th grade. Number two, there's no jobs available for him that he can go out and get that are going to allow him to have a living wage so he can take care of the children he may or may not be creating. And then finally, you have this constant bombardment of persuasion and the marketing of illegal behavior, illegal activity. So that increases the likelihood that he's going to do something that's going to get him in trouble. Because by that point, the white man can take his hand off the needle and say, well, I'm not making him behave like a thug. He's just choosing to be a thug. But somebody has been teaching him, educating him on how to be a thug from the time he was 3 years old. So by the time he ends up dealing with the excessive policing that occurs, particularly in black neighborhoods, stop and frisk, that's really where it starts. So you got the guy who's been educated to be a thug, been bombarded with media imagery, telling him that he's something other than what he's meant to be. No educational opportunities, almost no job opportunities. And then the police officer walks up, stops and frisks him, finds some weed on him, finds a gun on him, he gets a little bit of trouble, then he's in the system. And the system is it's interesting. It is really a version of political quicksand. Because when you're a black man, you get trapped in that system. Number one, you can't afford lawyers that are really going to defend you. So your right and your opportunity to have a free and fair trial is pretty much dead on arrival. It ain't going to happen.
The main role of the Board of Education in the American public school system is to further dumb down the population to create a permanent working class. See, we have to go all the way back to slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, you had two classes of people. You had the merchant class and you had the consumer class or the worker class. It's still the same way in the world today. Either you're being educated to be a part of the merchant class to where you're selling, you're producing, you're making things, or you're part of the working consumer class to where all you do is buy and consume. So in my opinion, when we look at the status of the world today, especially if we have over 7 billion people in the world, 80% of those people are people of color or people of African descent. But everywhere you go, people of African descent are on the bottom of the totem pole.
The present school system, as it's constituted, whether in Georgia or New York or whatever, is based on a core curriculum, the development of a core curriculum. Of course, in a racist society, the core curriculum reflects the racism and the biases of the most powerful classes in society. We have to understand what education is. Education in modern society is nothing more than the training of individuals into the working class, into the system that they would have to inherit and perpetuate. In other words, the education is the training of the majority of people into the values and standards of the most powerful class in society. And having said that, the most powerful classes in society are decidedly white males. And this their worldview, it's their attitude, and it's their perceptions that determine the curriculum in our schools, that determine how our children are treated, to determine how teaching is administered.
The greatest trick that white supremacy ever played on us was getting us to think that it did not exist. How does that manifest itself in the school system? When you look at discipline and some of the racist practices that exist in the school system, it's not because people just, hate black folks. That's one of it. But the thing about white supremacy is that it's built into the institutions. So when I'm making a decision on what I can tolerate, what is appropriate behavior, what the rules and policies that are going to drive my school, if I'm coming from a white supremacist framework, then I'm going to look at different races in a different way. So the reason why black boys, especially black boys and black folks and people of color are disciplined at a different level, they don't want you to get an education, first of all. Because if you get an education, you know that you're more successful, you have higher self-esteem, so they don't want you there anyway. So if I can find a way to get you out of school and get you into the prison system, I have achieved my goal before you even 13 years old.
So what the education system essentially is a filter by which those who are given certain opportunities, provided with certain supports, make it through, and those who are not given those opportunities and supports don't. They essentially become the employees, and those who do make it through become the owners.
Our children can barely write now, but they can make a guess out of 4 choices. And boys don't do very well with that because they are creative. They want to think outside the box, and that's not permissible in the education system.
When Obama came in office, there were 30 million people on the welfare rolls. Today, that number has almost doubled. So now you see government getting bigger, and you see people have more of a dependency upon government. Government didn't invent cars. The government didn't invent the railway system. The government didn't invent airplanes. All of those inventions came out of the minds or the subconscious of an individual or a group of individuals. The government never creates wealth. It can only destroy wealth through overtaxation. So guess what? That can only be done in a country where people are not properly educated. Do you know what led to the Boston Tea Party? At the time, the 13 colonies were paying less than 2% in taxes to Britain. Britain raised the tax by 0.5%, and the 13 colonies went to war. Today, the average American citizen pays 33% in taxes to the government and up to 50% in sales tax, real estate tax. So that means that 50 cents out of every dollar you make goes towards some taxes, and you have to revolt to get it. What does that say about your education?
You got to realize that the United States is a pimp-hole system, and unfortunately, the majority of us are homeless. I mean, I say that, you know, an example is you pay taxes. You go to work, they tax you. Every time you go to spend that money, they tax you. They don't have to do anything but collect money from you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a pimp-hole system, and that's what it's built on, and that's what it's all about. So the biggest pimp is Uncle Sam, the biggest hoe is us.
Anytime you talk about anything in America, you first have to start with capitalism. Okay? You can't talk about religion, you can't talk about politics, you can't talk about education unless you talk about the thing that is the foundation of the country, which is capitalism. Okay? So in capitalism, that means he who has the capital or he who has the gold makes the rules. If you got money, you're going to live in the best neighborhoods. If you got money, your kids are going to go to the best schools. If you got money, you're going to have the best roads. If you got money, you're going to have the best shopping malls. In America, if you got money, money affords you the opportunity to have the best of everything. So when you ask me, is education equal? No, hell no, education is not equal.
The whole purpose of education is to facilitate racism, is to make sure that African people do not know who we are and how to function as economic entities in the society. Amos Wilson said that if education does not facilitate a person becoming sovereign within who they are and the ability to have nationhood and ability to have sanctity, then that education is not, for them, it's not true education. So we don't have true education in America.
The school system is set up where this government and this system wins is victorious, regardless of whether you pass or fail. Because of the fact that if you fail, it's a good chance you're going into the prison system. So you're going to serve and you're going to build this country through that type of servitude. If you pass and you got good grades, and you go out and you get a master's degree, and you go work in corporate America, you're still going to build a society.
So it doesn't even matter if you walk away as a straight A student. It's still the facilitation of racism because you got an A because you were able to reiterate racist understandings and ideas. That's the only way to get an A.
One of the things that this educational system, the current model of it, has effectively done is pretty much destroy the creative thinking process of our children. And so consequently, we are unable to find our place relative to everyone else, right? Now, this was purposely done. You see, the school to prison pipeline only takes place as a result of mass miseducation. You have to withhold a tremendous amount of information from a young person in order to miseducate and mislead them. Because, of course, today is the age of information, right? But when you don't put in context a person's or a nation or a race's contribution to the world stage, then how do young people see their place in it? How do they get to the point of even valuing their education? You see? And what is it that they're being educated to do after they graduate high school or college? Is it to go to work at some Fortune 500 company? You see? Or is it to build their own businesses based on the social, political, and economic needs of their own community? You see, that's what an African-centered education fosters in young people, a sense of purpose. And this is why the earlier they get exposed to that level of education, the better off our children will be.
So right now we're going through some huge demographic shifts. The baby boomers are aging out of the workforce, while at the same time the country is getting browner. We're going to have a majority minority country very soon. If all of those black and brown folks have been disproportionately disciplined, many of them haven't gotten the education and the skills that they need, who's going to replace that American workforce that's retiring, that's dying out? Nobody. That affects our economic viability as a country. That affects our GDP, that affects our ability to pay for a military, that affects all of those luxuries that we take for granted. So what I would submit to white America Listen, your economic interest is in the vitality of this country is tied to the success of young Black and brown men. That's why you should hear.
See, we don't understand the fear of white genetic annihilation. See, I've asked audiences of white people, do you want your children to be colored? Do you want your grandchildren to be colored? Do you want your great-grandchildren, great? I'm polite, they're polite. What do they say? No. So I said that just means that you have to do certain specific things in economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and more.
Not only are Black men the subjects of this incarceration attack that's occurred over the last 40, 50 years, really everybody is now threatened by this. And it's kind of, it starts with the core. The Black man is the core of the incarceration epidemic. But then right outside of that core is the Black woman. And then there's going to be the brown families, Hispanic families, which are on the next layer of the core. And then you got poor whites on the outside of that. Because slavery really doesn't see race as much as we might think. Slavery really sees any group of people that you view as less human than you, whose lives are less valuable than yours, that you can actually profit from. So the Black woman is the natural next step in the incarceration epidemic.
The numbers of Black women who are being incarcerated have skyrocketed since the 1980s. And again, we have to look back at the Reagan era and the war on drugs, which was aiming for Black men, but the ripple, the side effect definitely impacted Black women. You have to step back and say, okay, what is it that's taking place in the climate of America that's lending to Black women being incarcerated? Well, it's the same thing that has happened to Black men. It's a systematic thing because it's not only Black boys who are being miseducated in the system and who are being ushered from the school to prison pipeline, but it's Black girls as well.
It's only when we gain a proper understanding of who we are as an African descended people and our place in the world, and the racial pride that comes with a thorough understanding and knowledge of self, will we be equipped to tackle this global phenomenon known as racism, white supremacy. The next thing that we have to do is organize ourselves in organizations and institutions around specific things that we can accomplish. And the cornerstone of this is leadership. The leader's aspirations, as well as the aspirations of the masses of our people that he or she wishes to lead, have to be one and the same. And only when those two are aligned, the leadership has the ability to codify that energy, to bring it together and direct it in a way that accomplishes the mission. And once the people have a sense of accomplishment, they now have the ability to take that next step, which is the total overthrow of the social, political, and economic system itself. And that is when we have effectively destroyed white supremacy.
The only thing that I would say in terms of solutions is for us to begin to think about participating as educators, as parents, as friends.
We need to start teaching our children the how instead of always concentrating on the problem. We need to start showing our children and our teenagers the potential and stop concentrating on what they cannot do.
Basically, at the end of the day, public schools need to get funded. They probably won't be. The government will probably never do what they're supposed to do. As a parent, you have maybe 10, 12 years of your child being in the school system. So you don't have time to wait for Jesse Jackson or for any civil rights leader to get the government to give more money to public schools. So this political issue is very personal for you. So at the end of the day, a parent should have the right to send their child wherever they want to send them. But at the same time, it's up to you to make sure you teach your child the importance of building their community. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. I just send a child to the worst public school in America. But if I'm teaching that child what they need to learn when they come home every day on the evenings and the weekends and the summertime, I guarantee you that my child will be qualified to go to Harvard or any university in the world. So ultimately, as parents, you are the first teachers, you are the most important teachers.
We have to make sure we do our job. And also remember that you don't have to have a child in order to be a parent. It does take a village for us to boost up all of our kids. And we do have children out here that don't have the parental guidance they need. So it's up to all of us to contribute to the education of our kids.
We keep harping on college. You know, all our kids ain't gonna go to college. All our kids don't want to go to college. Sometimes you have to pull your kids out of a bad situation. And if you have the capability to homeschool your child at home, then yes, that has to be an option. And the fact of the matter is that I don't get into the argument over public education versus charter education. I believe that whoever has the best practices, if you have a best practice that's going on at a charter school where they're doing some great things and they're graduating a high number of students, then we need to look at best practice. But we have best practice over here in the public school that's doing the same thing. We need to look at that public school to see what is the best practices that are being used to educate our children and adopt those practices. And lastly, one of the things that we get caught up, a lot of public education is being controlled by the unions today. And with the union, it's all about policy, it's all about money. It's all about tenure, it's all about benefits, it's all about where we're going to have our next convention. So, you know, when we have that controlling the money, you know, we see we are integrated into a failing system, and that system is going to continue to fail.
We cannot allow white supremacy and racism and white skin privilege to determine the character of education for our children, first of all. Second of all, we as parents have to understand that our children are small people and we are the first influence on them. So if they are having problems in school, they're probably dealing with situations at home that are dysfunctional. And school is not a refuge. If school was a refuge from this dysfunction, they would behave differently.
The Eurocentric model of education is the biggest disaster that has affected our children. The fact that they receive an education based on a European cultural context begins the downward spiral that we see with our young people in our communities, because they don't have a knowledge of who they are. However, we live in a very complex world. So we have a group of young people who don't even know their place in the world, what their ancestors have done, what their ancestors have built, and what their ancestors have given to humanity. And so as a result of not knowing, we seek the information from the very people who are destroying us. That is a recipe for disaster. So if there's one practical thing that we can do, is to create as many African-centered schools all over this country as we possibly can, and begin the process of educating our own children. History has shown that when we have educated our children ourselves, we produce a much better product. We have an opportunity to do that again, and we must do it if we're serious about African survival.
I think that one of the things that people have to really understand about education is that no education is not as bad as miseducation. And there are so many people in the Black community that are substantially and overwhelmingly miseducated. Even worse than not knowing anything is to know all the wrong stuff. And so you have to understand that education is not something that you get inside a building or that you have to get from a teacher in a classroom. We live in the digital age. The biggest university in the history of the world is called Google.com. You can Google any topic. You can look up any subject you want, become an expert on that subject, and you don't need anybody's permission to do that. So we have to get past the idea that we think that we have to get some white man to build a building to allow ourselves to be educated. That's not the way things have to work. Everything your child absorbs from the time they come out of your womb is part of their educational process. So when they turn on the radio and hear a rapper spitting some old ridiculous nonsense, that's part of their education. That's shaping their identity. When they go to school and they hear this racist teacher telling them that they're less than and that they're only capable of doing certain things, or that white men have invented every great thing in the history of the world, that's becoming part of their education too. So you have to be one of the teachers in the classroom as a parent or mentor or somebody who cares about a young person. You've got to be the primary teacher in that classroom, and you've got to have the loudest voice. That means that the minute that your teacher tells your child something that's stupid, you say, well, look, let's go study. Let's look up on Google the history of ancient Africa so I can tell you where you come from, why you're meant to be great, why you're meant to be extraordinary. Or when you hear an ignorant rapper on the radio spit some ridiculousness about getting high and drunk and killing black men and glorifying our own genocide, you can speak to your child about that right then and talk to them about how media conglomerates control what black people consume and what they're taking in. So remember, the same way that you, as a parent, will control what your child eats, if you don't want them eating poison, you want them eating healthy food, well, intellectual food is just as important, and that's what the educational process is, so that when that child leaves your grip at the age of 18, they're in a world where they know who they are, they have a sense of purpose, they're fully educated, they know the importance of doing their best to achieve their goals, they're not being sucked up by nonsense, they know the importance of standing up for their people, and they love where they come from, they want to get back to that. That's what we need. We need a community of builders for the next generation, so that 100 years from now, black people are not complaining about the same problems we were bitching about in 1975.
The solution to ending the school to prison pipeline is fundamentally a solution that black folk and other people of color have been fighting for in this country since they got here. And that's to be included in that we the people. You know, all of these fights have centered around who that we the people was. You know, in the preamble, we have we the people in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, yada, 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 right? But the seminal question is, who is that we? Very early on in this country, it was white male landowners. That was the only we. And then throughout the history of our country, we fought and fought and fought to expand that we. How we change this thing is to truly get that we expanded to include young African American men, young Latino men, not in a acceptance or tolerance way, but truly appreciating all of the beauty and the gifts that they can bring to this country.
First, you're designated a bad kid by the school system, a person of interest by the police, and then a gangster by society.
W.E.B. Du Bois told us that the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. Baba Chinwe Izu told us that the problem of the 21st century is the problem of the lack of black power. How to build black power and enough of it to sustain our lives. Only by organizing effectively do we have a chance at building African power. That is the only thing that will ensure the survival of African descended people on this planet. It has always been and always will be about power. And power is the only thing that sustains the life of a people. Words on paper don't do it. Promises, treaties have not worked. Once we understand that we are to build ourselves into a force of global power, where we have effectively overthrown racism and white supremacy as a global force on this planet.
Learn to see through the lies that they tell on the news. Bring it down to the ground, they got nothing to lose. I take a sip and try to wash away these roses and blues. I say march, I take a step, move a fist, pose a threat.
Okay. All right. I hope you all can hear me. I hope you can hear me right now. I'm gonna get this, open up the lines. Let me open up the lines for a second. Ta-da-da. Okay. Unmute. Okay, I just unmuted everybody. Let's see. All right. Thank you for hanging in there. It was a little long, but it was worth it. It's a lot that was said. I mean, if you understand, you being a Black person in America, you've probably experienced some of these things that you see out there right now. So anybody, I'll see if anybody, what did you think about the film? I'll just ask anybody want to start off a conversation about what you thought about it.
Hey everybody, this is Kai. How you doing?
Hello, Kai.
Hey, so I think that this film is really reflective of the Black reality. as a Black mom, my children are 28, 24, and 22. But I do have a Black son, and I could see the things that society has tried to do to him when he was in like the second and third grade. They didn't succeed, but there was a point in time where they did a lot of things that that did have an effect. So I do think that it's very important that we have forums like this where we're teaching Black people, because some of our people aren't conscious. So we just think that this is our reality, that this is just the lot that we've been given, and that there's nothing that we could do about it. So I do think that it's important that we have these forums, that that we do come together as a village of people of African descent, so that we could each one teach one, and also to bring our young people up so that they could be exposed to different things like travel or education. One of the things that I really like that that Dr. Boyce Watkins had said is that even if his child is in a school where they're being miseducated, that if he's educating his child on the weekends or when they get home, that makes a difference. And that was the thing with my son, even though they tried to have him in special education and everything, but in kindergarten he was reading. So, and that wasn't something that he was taught in school. So, so it is important that we teach our children, even if we allow them to participate in society. It's important that we still come back when they're not in those forums to teach them. So it will have a positive effect. Back to you.
All right, I agree. Yes, ma'am. I like it. You know, Boyce Watkins, basically, I see it like they say, it starts at home. You know, we can say all these other things, but it really starts in the home, and we do the family and everything like that. So we have to start in the home to educate our children, and they will go out in society and get a different viewpoint, but it's up to us to bring it back. And like you said, it takes a village to raise a child. Like what the guy said, they listen to stuff on the radio. The teachers are telling them misinformation. We're going to school, we're learning a whole bunch of stuff, but is it the right stuff? We're being miseducated, like Carter G. Woodson said. So let's ask a question. Do you guys believe that the education system is a kind of like a prison to pipeline system?
Can I talk, Dennis?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. What's up, man? Hey, Dennis, I'm at a function right now, but I'm a great grandmother, actually. I have 4 daughters, 13 grandbabies, and 3 great grandbabies. And I praise God because I had the opportunity to be a domestic engineer, which was a stay-at-home mother. And I taught my daughters before they even went to school. They knew their social security number, they knew their name, they knew the address, they knew the colors, their numbers, they knew all the basic fundamentals, because I had felt it was my responsibility to teach them, and the teachers laid that foundation. And I laid the foundation, and the teachers, then they build on the foundation I had already laid. And because I did that, I made learning fun for them. But when they went to school, unfortunately, school stopped being fun for them. The teachers made it kind of really hard for them, and they were gifted. So a lot of times they did cut up in school, and they did act up in school. But back then, when I was teaching my girls in Lincoln, Nebraska, here, the kids got tested for giftedness, and the schools got extra money, and the schools still get extra money to this day, to the tune of $8,000 to $10,000 per child. And instead of them using that money for a gifted program like they used to with my daughters, well, that's why they were cutting up, because the curriculum was too easy for them. So all my girls were gifted, and all of them, they excelled in their classes. So they put them all in gifted classes. And so they use that money properly. Right now, with my grandbabies in school, my great grandbabies in school, that money, they don't use that money anymore for the gifted program. As a matter of fact, they took the gifted program out of the school system, and instead of it being a gifted program, it's like it says, a special education program. And then two, when you look at the as you were saying, Dennis, when you look at how they treat the children, they're full of. I also was a Sunday school teacher, and I taught, and I worked with children who were disabled, whether they were paraplegic or mentally challenged or whatever. I babysitted those children, and a lot of times it's how you treat a child is how they'll respond. If you treat them like they're ignorant and that they don't know nothing, then guess what? They're going to treat you like you ignorant and you don't know nothing. If you treat them like they're smart and intelligent, then guess what? That smartness and that intelligence will come out. But what they did was them, the children, they're full of energy. But when their children are 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, they're supposed to get some playtime. They're supposed to be able to get that energy out of them. And instead of them kids getting the energy out of them, they have them sit up in the school. They get mad at them because they fall asleep. They get mad at them because they fidget. Instead of letting them go outside and getting that extra fidgety or that restlessness out of them. They're young. You're supposed to have all kind of breaks for them so that they can have fun. When I taught Sunday school, and I had the opportunity of teaching all the grades together, which was a privilege because I taught the older kids to help the younger kids, thereby teaching responsibility and leadership at different levels, whatever way that child could knew and could grow up to. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But right now, in this day and age, like you said, the children, they don't even want the children to even pass, because when they don't, they go from the school to the prison pipeline. And right now, we're fighting that here in Omaha, Nebraska. And unfortunately, it's our own people, Black brothers and sisters, melanated brothers and sisters. It's our own people who are cooning. They're getting paid by the European wide racist supremacist society to keep their thumb on our children's neck, on their back, on their throat, on their education, on their life. And they're taught, and this is where class comes in. Well, my child, because I'm rich or whatever, I have power and position of authority, my child can go get this education, but because your child comes from a poverty background or not a good background as mine is, then your child don't deserve the best of my child. And we have to stop the classification that we have between ourselves with the we've been with Duke for over 400 years. Good hair, bad hair, light skin, dark skin, old, young, all those things they use against us to keep us from uniting, and we still feed into these horrific principles right now. And so this genocide, the second genocide element to genocide 2, I thank you for it, Dennis. I thank you that you have the balls, the nuts, and the balls to even put it on. And you're right.
Okay.
$1.2 trillion we Black people have a spending power. That's $1 trillion. We literally make $1 million millionaires out of everybody else except us. $1 million millionaires. Out of $1, we keep 2.8 cents of every dollar and give 97 cents to everybody else. It said our money used to go around 33 times in our community. It goes on less than 6 hours in our community because we're buying Louis Vuitton, we're buying Chanel, we're buying all these qualities and even high quality products. Our people make better products than these products that they copied off of us in the first place. So it's we have to get ourselves out of this old merry-go-round, and for us to keep letting ourselves be falling for the same old okie doke for over 400 years, we owe ourselves something. We need to stop looking to the white man and saying, well, you owe us that. No, hell no. The white man ain't gonna do nothing for us. He hasn't done nothing for us for 400 years since they've been here. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to stop falling for the same old doggone okie doke and start taking care of each other. Stop being responsible to each other and stop being dumbing each other out according to class, according to hair, according to skin tone, according to what a religious preference, all this stuff. Black racist white folks didn't even believe Black folks had souls. So they didn't give us God to save us. They gave us God to control us. And the God that they gave us was their God. How in the world is a Black man going to be a Black man with a white Jesus on the wall? I could talk about this forever and ever and ever, and I'm not. But thank you so much, Dennis. I appreciate y'all. Love you, fam.
All right. Thank you. You said a mouthful. You said a lot. So, Shelby, I see you want to go next, but I just want to. You got to unmute yourself, Shelby. Unmute yourself.
I got it.
There you go.
Got it. Sorry. So, yeah, CC, I want to thank you for helping get my blood pressure up, too. I'm correct that it is definitely a systemic, institutionalized situation. Obviously, the African diaspora being rejuvenated. And we must not forget that this has been an intentional, divisive, divide and conquer situation. And yet it does begin with the domestication of our youth. So myself, I've been very fortunate that my mother and dad were pretty black proud. In fact, when I was younger, I saw the big difference because in Chicago, Illinois, I went to I think it was second grade. I went to an all black church school, and we would actually have our national school anthem was "Lift Every Voice and Sing," and it was all black, and like we had Black History Month, Black History Year. I mean, we were all about showing the adventures, and so when I went to White World, later on, I went to all the advanced schools in Chicago. I saw some of this systemic racism, and I was one of those rebel kids. I called myself a renegade member of Family Life. And I would go in there, I'd be like, hey, we're doing the Shaka Zulu. They were talking about Sarah Africa. They were talking about the British colonizing Congo. And I was like, hey, what about Shaka? Shaka Zulu, the greatest warrior ever, conquered, 9 countries, kicked the white people out. Hey, they didn't want to hear me. I mean, I was like, who is this little bastard child coming here with all these brains? And I understand that, they're not going to give us anything. It's really something that we got to take. And we got to start, not only with the education of youth in terms of what Dennis is doing now, is empowering us, to love and loyalty to ourselves and understand that we have been inventors, creators, we've created history. Geometry, Egypt was a land of spiritual blessing. Egypt was a land of facts, not guessing. People from all over the world would come to Egypt, learn from Egypt #1 at all our BDP, KRS-One. So my biggest point is that I don't get as hyped up because I realize that we are making that movement now, and it takes change, and it also takes for us to do things like what Dennis is doing, in terms of bringing people to find out about it and sharing with you. But the biggest thing we really can do right now is educate the youth on this, because we got the hip hop generation trying to grow up in this fancy about money and hip hop, and I do what I want to do. I got to get paid. True. But, payment got to be something that's going to be long-term growth. Are we investing in one another? Are we doing love? Are we really doing universal consciousness in terms of human body, even in terms of food we eat, which is stabilizing our brain cells, minimizing our chakras. So I really like to see some of these meetings because I think that it's good for us to be reminded and don't get up what I call a false sense of security that we go out there and just because we have something, we are somebody, because like I said before, I was what I call an SAD person. SAD stands for smart ass dummy. Out in corporate America, about 6-figure salary. I'm good. White people liking me. I'm respected. I'm articulate. They was putting up with me. I was a little Barack Obama. I was cool. I was an inroad. And I realized they didn't want to have me around. They were putting up with me. I was token. And I had to learn and grow over that. And so now I'm realizing I'm about to set standards. And so I take it as a challenge, really. Why we can't be Martin Luther King now? Why can't we be Frederick Douglass now? Why can't we be a time in that turn when George Floyd shit's going on? Sometimes we got to learn to pick up the shield and turn into the archetype we need to be at the proper moment, because opportunity and time rarely meet. We got to seize this moment. So, sometimes it's revolutionary, sometimes it's educational, sometimes it's biblical, sometimes it's metaphysical, so it's about being on the right note at the right time. But the biggest thing I will say, and I'm going to shut short because I know people want to talk, is do it with the youth. Because you train a kid before he's 7 years old, what's really going down, when he get in there and see that manipulation, you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, I know this okey doke. So he'll hear that, or at the front, he'll be talking about the Eli Whitney and the cotton gin. Like, hey, that patent, did you know that patent was stolen from him and now given to him? Just like with Tesla or something, he'll be able to bring the facts to the teacher and put that stuff to shame. And this is when that child will see that, I got to be a hell of a lot better than I thought I am. Because he'll see that systemic racism right away in the classroom, right away when he wants to do his presentation. And then he'll be able to see it on TV and YouTube media. If you convert that child at home, the sky's the limit. So the future's real bright. The past is already written. It's there. It's going to be that way. But we don't settle for that. We can change that paradigm. Remember, this one little last comment. Love and racism are diametrically opposed. They cannot exist in the same state. So what we have to do is we have to realize that is the antipode of what we're about. When we talk about loving one another as a people, we have to understand that our fight is going to be against racism and institutionalism because they are diametrically opposed. And we can't play no games with that. We got to keep it seriously without turning into, let's say, a villain ourselves in terms of we want to kill like all white people. Because once again, you take a white kid, bring him and put him in Dennis and Kai house and grow him up, and he be singing BDP and doing Buy Black movement. He'll be understanding that. So it's about really what you teach the youth. So I'll just stop with that and for my pleasure roll up. But I appreciate Dennis for bringing this in. Everybody comment, Kai, CC Lady, it's good. I'm sure Kelvin, everybody come in and close it down.
All right. Thank you very much. You said a lot too, man. And
had a lot come out. Feel me?
That's all right. It's good. It automatically starts at home. It starts with I always say, like my dad told me, from 0 to 5, them kids are sponges. Watch a kid. They do everything you do. They watch you. They do everything. If you say something, they do it. And we have to put inside their minds versus letting them being taken over by the television or what we white America, like I think Dr. Boyce Watkins said that you know, we can go to school and go to Harvard. Next thing you know, we are a white black man pretty much. So, and just like Shelby just said, you know, he had a foundation. So now he gets there and talk about Shaka Zulu. We have to understand and love ourselves. I always say, love yourself. Not only love yourself, but fall in love with yourself. And you know, we have scholars, Booker T. Washington, Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, all these people, like they said in the film, before 1954. After that, what happened to us? What happened? We didn't have independent thinking. We had their thinking. The white man's ice is colder. And that's what happened to us a lot of times. We got off track on what we did. We could build anything. We made anything. And as we go on, I'll let you guys talk. But when we get to the solutions, we'll talk about that. But anybody else have anything else to say that they want to add, what they got out of the movie?
And before they come in, just remember, history is his story. The victors who won, they write his story. And that's what we got to fight. It ain't the fact, it's just his story.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, Kelvin, I see you out there. You got anything to say?
Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
You know, I always got something to say. So, but I was going to let everybody, you know, say what they were going to say. Put it on there. You know, I'm looking for the documentary that come out. Why niggas do what they do. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. The disrespect, not wanting to learn, blaming everybody for their issues. Families don't want to do nothing together. That's the documentary I want to see. You know, that's the one that because it's I grew up in one of the one of the best middle class black neighborhoods in California. 2-parent homes. Kids. I mean, we you know, I mean, it was a great neighborhood to grow up in, and it was very. My high school was very diverse. In my high school, you had about 3 black people in the class, 3 white people, Chinese, Samoans. I mean, it was diverse. But the thing that got me though was the black people did not want the education. You know, if they weren't going to make it, and I was one of them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to put my name on that thing too. Okay, I went out and got drunk every day and did all this other and just, you know, but we have to but we gotta figure out where the blame really comes from. And I'm gonna tell you where the blame comes from. It comes from black men. You know, you can say what you sat there and told me your father. They could not come to your house unless they told them they GPA. Am I right?
Right.
Your father made a big difference in that community.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We don't have enough of these things. Do you listen to the conversation that black men have? I was on the radio listening to one. They talking about what age should your son start having sex? I'm like, what? But that's the conversation. And some of these fools said 12, because that's when I started at 12. You know, that kind of stupid kind of conversations that I'm talking about. You know, I was talking to somebody. You go to the black barbecue and the white barbecue. That white barbecue, eventually they gonna all start talking about investments. That black barbecue gonna turn into the what do you call that darn thing? The Cupid shuffle. Just go get in there, everything else. I mean, listen, we have to change our conversation. I mean, that's all I'm saying. You know, I understand. I got beat up almost every day by the police. I understand that. You know, I did just as much crime as everybody else in my neighborhood. Why? I don't know. I guess because I wanted to peer pressure, wanted to feel accepted. I don't know. But, you know, I'm just trying to say is we need to just start taking responsibility for what we do. Don't worry about what they do. It's what we do that matters. I guarantee you, then the Chinese people and all these other people ain't complaining about the educational system, you know, because you know some of them are in the same schools that we are. They doing their thing, you know. And the big problem with us as black people is math. I want to. Who in here got an A in math? Not math. I'm talking about advanced mathematics. You did. You did. How many other people did?
I had trig as a freshman in high school.
Math is the killer of African Americans. And I'm going to tell you why it's the killer of us. But that is the key to good employment. The key to math is because we always say this. Why should I learn algebra? Because how am I going to work it in everyday life? How many people you heard say that? Not knowing that everything is algebra. You want to get, if you want to build a car, it's algebra. Go to the moon, it's algebra. Gas, everything is algebra. But we don't. I didn't learn algebra actually until my kids got to school. And when they took it, I had to learn it so I could teach them so they wouldn't fall behind. So all I'm trying to say is this, I would just like to see the documentary when we talk about what do we need to do, not with what they doing, because we already know what they doing. What do we need to do? That's the one I want to see. So you find that one, Dennis.
No
because you ask people, okay, we all need to do this. Okay, we need more. All right, so I ask people, okay, what are you doing then? I ask people, you want to be a millionaire? Yeah. I said, what you doing about it? Nothing. Everybody can go. You go to the barbershop, and everybody got a goddamn something to say. But well, what are you doing about it? So the bottom line is, whoever said that, we just got to stop talking and start doing. So that's why you doing what you're doing. We got a program that we're trying to do to make things happen. We can either talk about it or we can be about it. So,
right.
And it's got to start somewhere. So,
right.
I'm short today.
I'm here, and I'm all about the solutions. I'm thinking about the plan. And I saw my daughter go through on the solutions. She was on the solutions when the movie was going.
Right.
Hey, I see her face. What's she doing on there? But that's another story. But we do have to stick together and unite and make something happen. Like you said, talk is cheap. We got to go out and make it happen. We've been talking and forever. Like you said with Malcolm X, they'll sell you the liquor, but they'll put you in jail for being drunk. So we got to understand what we're going up against.
Yeah, but they want the liquor. They can't give you what you don't want.
Yeah.
Huh?
But they don't, just like the marijuana. They put it out there, and we get the life sentences for a nickel bag. Where they doing, it's not the same as what they're saying. We always think it's on a level playing field, like my father.
Oh, we know it's not. But just like I saw something today, I'm gonna say I saw this today, and I always say this: a black man steal $20 and get 20 years. White man steal life savings and get 6 months. I say you go by a black person, you hide your wallet, but you go by a white person, you better protect your bank account. I'd rather have my wallet stolen than my bank account.
Right, your life savings.
Yeah. Right. But we don't call them out on that. That's the issue. We just don't say nothing. We should be putting pressure on those crooks at Wall Street because they stealing your future, our futures.
AIG and everything. You're still everybody.
Oh, they stealing it. And like I told somebody, and I'm sorry about that, my family's inheritance was stolen. They bought, my great grandmother bought 500 acres in the Texarkana, Arkansas border. They discovered oil on that land, and they ran my family off. Okay, stole billions of dollars from my family, and I bet everybody on this call, all of our inheritance was stolen. So what are we gonna do? We ain't got the money to talk about it. See, if we had the money, we could bring that to it. No, I talked to a lawyer. The lawyer don't even want to go do that fight. They said, man, the oil companies are too big. They don't even take a chance with it. But if you pull up the deeds and all those lands, look at all those black people who own that land, that Exxon and all those have built their fortune on. It came on from our backs, our families. We all should be the billionaires and not them, or at least sharing the profits. We didn't even get a share. They just stole the land.
Took it.
Took it.
That's it.
So yeah.
Okay. So hey, anybody else want to comment on anything else? I see you up in there on the phone up there. Go ahead. Somebody else speak up. I see the Orchid iPhone.
Oh, hi. This is Elizabeth.
Hi, Liz.
I'm doing
How
fine.
are you?
I'm great. I thought, of course, there's just so much to take away from this. And first, I want to really thank you for sharing this with us. It's just wonderful, all the documents and all that you share with us. It's just wonderful. But anyway, as many has said already in reference to, I'll add just a little something, but everybody's kind of covered most of what was said. It's so important as we, as parents and grandparents, of course, continue to work with the young people, the neighbors and all. I know these days it's a new rule. You can't talk to the children. Nobody wants you to talk to their child or try to encourage them or say anything to them. But I think we still have to take that step to really, especially some of the kids, maybe they're at church or wherever they might be, that we need to speak to them in reference to the importance of education or just having a skill. And of course, we got to get to the savings and actually making some money. And many times we don't have anything to save. But what we have here in 365 or wherever it might be, in terms of working with the young people to look at investing or creating something where they can have supplementary income somewhere, because in most cases they're not making what they should make, and we know what the other people make. But we've just got to continue as parents to work on instilling and be the community and instill something in the children that we see that need some help. And it starts really early. The little kids that you see running around, and the little kids in Sunday school, the person talked about Sunday school, even in those places, we might have a moment to instill something positive in the little kids in Sunday school that they might not get at home. These things are quite important. And I think we should try to continue to do that. And certainly the programs that we have in terms of that supplemental income, very, very key thing, because in most cases we're totally being underpaid. And the education, of course, are having some kind of skill. You just can't walk around with no skill at all. You need a particular skill. We must instill that. Thank you.
All right.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
You were in Surge?
Yes.
Why do you say Surge is supplementary income? I'm just curious about that.
People who, many of the people who in Surge, they certainly start out, we've been talking many times, you start out with a regular job. Most of the people who start out in Surge, I'd say, don't start out with absolutely no job or no source of income. This might happen right now with the situation that we have.
No,
right
I'm asking you, why are you calling it? I mean, because it's a legitimate multi-million-dollar business.
Of course.
I'm to just get into the habit of pronouncing it properly, because I don't want to be, that's all I was saying, because it is, but when you devalue something, people don't give it what it's worth. That's all I was getting at. I totally
appreciate it. No, thanks so much for calling me out. I certainly appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, because don't devalue that, because it's an awesome thing. Don't make it, it's just something. No, that's life changing.
I'm just thinking of it. I think thinking of it from my personal standpoint in reference to you have something. It's not you just go in and say I don't have anything. I'm looking at this as a particular, almost like a particular job, the job. But I started with having a job, by having something, and now I'm getting into Surge and hopefully, transfer right away.
Cool,
but I really appreciate your calling me out.
Right.
No problem.
Because you wouldn't call a McDonald's a supplementary income, and you can make more money in Surge than you can by owning your own McDonald's. So
yes, unless you own the McDonald's, that should be supplementary income too, unless you own it or at a top level.
But what I'm talking about, you owning
the
average McDonald's.
Person.
And I understand it.
You're correct. You are correct about that. Certainly. I certainly appreciate it. Absolutely no problem. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just when people trivialize what they have, it just kicks, it just kind of bothers me,
I get you. I certainly understand. Anything that we have that we truly value, we don't want it devalued. So absolutely no problem. Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, we're getting a lot of nuggets here. I really appreciate it. I see LaShawn out there. LaShawn, you have anything to say? Can you speak? I don't know if she can. All right. Okay. Let's go over to Nadra. Nadra, are you there? She can't unmute herself either. All righty. Okay, well, I'll just keep going then. I know Steven's on, he's out in public where he can't really speak right now. got a lot of stuff going in the background. But with all that said, we have a lot to work on pretty much as our people. We have a lot, like they said, psychological, special education. We are the creators of everything. That's what I love about it. We can create anything we want, anything that's coming from slavery. They said they don't even want to recognize slavery, let alone help us do anything. They're not going to help us. And we have to realize that no one is coming to our rescue. Nobody's going to give us 40 acres and a mule. Nobody's going to do that. So what we have to do is be responsible and take action and just do it. We, like they said earlier, we have to go ahead and create our own Afrocentric centered schools, because when we go to their schools, they devalue everything about our culture. We learn as in circles. And I mean, if you look at, I can go get on a bus, the majority of Black people will go sit at the back of the bus. I never understood that, but I see it happen consistently. We don't want to sit in the front. We want to sit in the back for some reason. I don't understand that, but hey, it is what happens. And it's the psyche, it's the miseducation that we've been taught, hey, you aren't supposed to be up in the front. We are in the front of everything. We're the first in civilization, the first of everything. Like Shelby was saying with Shaka Zulu. I mean, we got Queen Nzinga, we got Mansa Musa, richest man in the world, Black man, 400 million, trillion dollars, I don't know. Billions, 400 billion, but nobody else has surpassed that. So we have to know what we have, where we come from, and that is the strongest thing we have is our own wisdom, our own knowledge of self. Institutionalized racism, it is institutionalized. They, like I said, at third grade, they're picking out how many prison cells that they're gonna put up for us because they're looking at us as free labor. They said that we go out and they bring out the prisoners to work at corporations for free labor. We are still in a slavery and they're putting us in slavery all the time. Black men make up 6% of the United States, but you look in the prison system, we're probably about 50% up in there. So it's very disproportionate, but what we have to do, no matter what the odds and obstacles are, we have to go out and collaborate, be in cooperation with each other. Learn instead of saying, I don't want to work with her, I don't want to work with him. We have to find someone who we can work with. Everybody isn't going to do the right thing. We have to find the ones that we think that will, or looking for people who are looking for us, should I say. Like me and Kelvin, we're working together, but we're looking for people who are looking for us so we can thrive and get that economic power and have that money so we can go out and change things, because money changes policy. We can have the control. If we control our money, we control our destiny. We control the police system, judges, politicians, but we don't have it. That's why we don't do it. And the ones that do have it, they're not collaborating. I'm not saying nothing about anybody else, but let's say the people in entertainment industry. Look at all those people that have money. Why aren't they coming together to pool their resources to better our people? They're not doing it. So if they're not doing it, I'm like Marcus Garvey. I said, hey, if they're not doing it, I vowed that I would do it. And I found Kelvin, Stephen, Shelby, brothers that are going out to do things together. Now we can go ahead and collaborate and make something happen from scratch. We don't need nobody. Like we can have our own bank. If we get 5,000 Black men or Black people, men or women, and make about $1 million apiece, we can put $100,000 aside. Now that's 500 million that we can do something with in our community, fix something up, build something, whatever we want, build the schools, have the farms, whatever we want to do, we come up with and we can make it. Invest in other things to see how our money can grow. Always have something that is growing at all times. Like I said, we want to figure out how can we have in the 21st century. The lack of Black power is what we have now. We have to organize and educate ourselves and build a global power, not just here, but when we do these things, we'll have a global economic power, not just in the United States, but people all around the world are looking at what we're doing. And we have to go ahead and make that happen. We have to do it at all times. And I like I say, it starts with the youth. We got to educate them. We can start it, but they have to finish it. 100 years down the road, what are we going to be looking at? We don't want to be in the same spot. We want to be where they looking back at us and say, those were the pioneers. Those were the Marcus Garveys who built that foundation. Kelvin started this. LaShawn started that. Nadra did this. Kai did this. That's what we want to do. And we want to make sure that it's all on the good. I see you, Nadra, your hand is raised. Go ahead, Nadra.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
had a
want to
little
comment
trouble
too.
with the technology. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Shelby.
Yes.
Thanks to everyone who spoke. I just want to speak to the men at this point. I think the Black man is what has been missing from our entire picture, because as you are removed from us, we are not the same. So I am so grateful that you all have stepped up and are creating this new foundation for us to continue to grow from. And I know it's a beautiful garden right now, and I can't wait to see what it continues to grow into. Thank you.
All right, Shelby, you
Can
have
I
your
say
hand
something?
raised. Go ahead.
Okay.
Me or her?
You. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say,
Uh,
to respond to what Nandra had said. Now,
Okay.
I talk a lot of crap about the black men and stuff like that, but here's the thing. I read a book, and it was written about slavery, and the book was How to Control the Black Race. See, this has been done scientifically for hundreds of years, and they said the best way to destroy the black race is to weaken the black man and give the power to the black woman. And I mean, this is a book they've done study, and this was studies that was this book was written back in the early 1800, almost 1700. You know, and that's why I always go back and say, the issue is it's with us, the black man, and we do have to take our place. You know, but the thing is, when you talk to um, I went to the funeral the other day, and was Steve-O. Steve-O had about 15 guys talk, and all of them, you would swear it down, was Steve-O's best friend. And I said that, man, I mean, I thought that was awesome. I was jealous of that, because if I got there and talked like that, it only gonna be about 2 or 3 guys. You know, I mean, I don't have that shared experience, but I have to realize the reason why I don't have that experience with a lot of black men, because not a lot of black men want to go where I want to go. They want to stay there. They're not trying to become millionaires and billionaires. I got my cousins talking to me, say, man, how come you don't call it this? And I want to say, man, I told her, I said, I'm trying to increase my wealth. If y'all want to hang out with me, y'all come in my platform. I'm not trying to go back to deal with talking about the Lakers and USC and all that other kind of crap. No, I'm trying to improve my portfolio, but also help people who want to go to, get to that level too. And I had made that comment, and guess what? Now they want to come. Now they want to come on the call. They want to come and they want to talk, and they're gonna be on the call on Wednesday and stuff like that. Because my thing is, I want to elevate them. I'm gonna reach down my hand to grab you, but I'm trying to lift you up. I don't want you pulling me down. And so, and that's what we need to start getting together with more black men who are trying to elevate themselves. If you ain't trying to do that, man, I love you, man, but I'll catch you later. Right now, we got this thing that we're trying to do. And I explained that situation to you. And if you feel that you want to be a part of that, then come on with me. But if you want to do that and stay the same, then I can't work with you right now. We got to get with you later. That's why I love working with Dennis, because, Dennis wants to make things happen. And we got involved with other guys involved. And, and then we'll see who the real guys are and who the real flaky guys are. Because when times get tough, men, it's easy for a man to run out. That's why you see single moms instead of a lot of single dads. Women hang in there to the end. So, but again, that's my whole thing is I want us as black men to step up, do our part, and take care of some of these youngsters. And I'm going to say this. A few weeks ago, about a couple of months back in February, that's when it was. I got socked in the mouth by a 17-year-old boy. Okay? Little sucker hit me in the mouth. When a man comes into a situation, you would think these kids would have respect for a man. These cats didn't have no respect for me, and he was lucky that I didn't get my chance to get hands on him, because he wouldn't have been alive today. The police asked me, did I want to press charges? And I said no, because I could have ruined that boy's life. But that being said, this is what I'm talking about. These young men need to learn how to respect older men. So That's what and hopefully we get ourselves in position to where they can. And when I do sock me in the mouth, I was wearing a suit of all things. You know, I wasn't coming looking like, I mean, I'm wearing a suit, looking like businessman, and you know, I didn't like the way he was talking. He had said something about my daughter, so I'm trying to talk to this guy in a nice way. That nigga socked me in the mouth. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
I know what you're talking about. So you know, it's that way in Chicago now. They ain't socking you in the mouth; they shooting you. But it's hey, I appreciate all that. We do have to be as men, and I like what you're doing. We both have the same mindset, and we do have to get out there and set the example as being Black men. We do have a lot of men in incarceration. Just like now, I'm talking to brothers that are violent and PTSD, but you know, I still talk to them on a weekly basis just to try to get their mind in the right spot. I know they've been given a bad deal, but it's up to you to change your life and make that happen. So before that, I see 2 hands raised. I'm gonna go to Steve first, and then LaShawn after that.
Yeah, so I want to go back to one thing, Kelvin. You talking about solutions, and I do appreciate that. There's a couple of things that I think need to really be addressed for us as men and Black men and people. There's 2 main points that I see that are holding us back. One is that there is a systemic distrust of our own people, Black on Black. Like, for example, I was living in California, Oceanside, and I remember I was across the street. It was me, my wife, and our little baby we just had. You know, we had a 4-bedroom house, and I remember one of the ladies come in. They're like, "Who the hell living here? It's just y'all." They were just tripping. It was just us 2 in there. But across the street was one of my friends. I speak fluent Spanish, and it was a house of Mexicans. I'll just call it tenfold. We'll call it tenfold. And the funny thing about that predicament is that this Mexican paradigm that they did, they would like and some of them were shitheads, some of them were drug dealers, you know, some of them were just, you know, barbershop, and they all were doing whatever they did, but it was all this house for a time. And I remember asking them, you know, what was the situation with that, you know, living so cramped up, and, you know, why you didn't have your own spot. And one guy told me that, you know, he said, "Yo, bro, we sit in here, we save, we all save money, have our money invested in businesses, or whatever, and then when we ready to move out, we bounce and buy our own stuff and start our own business, and bounce." Yeah, I find in our community that's pretty rare. You know, I get a situation where even in my own family, where, like, you know, when we're someone down and you want to cohabitate, the answer is typically no. You know, like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. I had a cousin of mine lives up in a 6-bedroom house up here in Florida. And when COVID went down, some things were going on, and I remember I moved out here, and I was like, "Hey, you know what? It's Ramadan. It's Ramadan, the time of fasting, prayer, charity. You know, he's the most holy imam." And I was like, "Hey, why not run to come up there for about a month? You know, we kick it together a little bit." You know, he was like, "No, you can't come up there and stay with me. 6-bedroom." He's like, "You know, we ain't having that. You know, nah. Now, granted, whatever his reason what it is, but my point, I've seen this a lot where, you know, we don't trust one another, like thinking, I don't like what you're doing. And the issue I want to say is that when your like vetoes your love, we got a problem. You love somebody's family, but then you don't like something about them, that you can no longer love them or accept them for their fault, and then try to bring them up because I don't want to deal with them. That's one big thing I want to say that what we got to do. And the second is sharing what we have, meaning like the universe is great. There is enough profit. There's enough prosperity to go around. And what I've seen, even some of the businesses I've been incorporated in, we get in there and, you know, we find out how to play the game. And sometimes it's typically the white game. And then we ain't trying to share that with other Black people. Like, hey, I'm trying to get mine. And we think so selfishly, I'm going to leave these legacy with just my kids only instead of my people. And we get caught up in this, like, I would call it less than single family hood, because typically, you know, because it don't even profit that. So my point is that, you know, each one teach one is a major statement to share. And we shouldn't feel afraid that if we tell some secrets that now we ain't gonna be able to get paid by whatever we learn. You know, the world's huge, you know, so the big thing is just think globally, think large, think big, and then love. And granted, you know, love and money, they're funny statements. You know, it's funny when you talk about loving somebody about currency. Currency is a hard thing. So I just want to bring that up and say that, you know, and I'm sorry, one more thing. And the third thing is also being a mentor, because like you said, that gentleman hit you in the face. Well, my daughter, her boyfriend tried to get in this scrap with me one time at my house. Now, here's the situation. They're in my house, both unemployed, don't want to do God, don't want to do shoppers. I'm like, hey, y'all gonna do respect. They mad at me because I'm telling them to pray or break bread or look at a crystal, but they want to smoke blunts, drink, have arguments, and cuss and call me fam. And I'm like, hey, I ain't fair. My fam is gonna break bread with me. My fam is gonna, like, help me cut some firewood, you know, like we're gonna work together. And they didn't like that. And so the younger generation is all about disrespect. They don't believe in God or elders, you know. And so we gotta put a nick on that, you know, where they come in and they get it's worse than just the hanging down with the jeans off your ass theory. They don't respect. They don't want to hear no truth. They don't want to hear no elderhood, you know. So we got to clamp that down right now, you know. And I just leave it at that. I don't want to get all vented, you know. But those are some big points that I know going on right now.
Hey, you got some valid points, but I'm gonna go ahead and before we get to that, I mean, LaShawn had her hand up for a while too. So LaShawn, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
This is LaShawn in Chicago. Hi, everyone. I am so glad that these gentlemen are starting this and continuing to do this and not going to stop until there is a dent or a change, no matter how much that change is going to be. Just 3 points. This video just continues to show me and reinforce the continued brainwashing that has happened over 400 years ago. And every time we educate ourselves based on what they're showing us and doing us because of how they live their lives, they tend to change the plan. So now the plan has changed so much to where the money is left. That is the last thing that is effective, that can only be affected because we already have discrimination laws in place, although they're not, you know, enforced and fair, as we would say. I agree with Dennis, and you know, the solution to this is to, well, what I've told Dennis is, yes, we need to know our past. We need to assess and analyze our present, and then we need to plan our future. And so with my part in this is educating Blacks about their financial wealth in regards to real estate and also travel and just owning a business, because whatever they're doing is not like we can't not do that. We can do the same things that they have done. And we did do the things that they've done. And as soon as they start to see that we don't need them, that we can be self-sufficient, the only thing left is just to be an animal and a beast and come along and destroy and be destructive and burn and destroy. Because, you know, I don't know if you've seen this video that's been out there, but it's almost like paying Monopoly, and for 400 turns on the Monopoly board, you're not allowing us to do anything or have anything. And then we're playing for the ones that are being our oppressors. So with that being said, it's like, I can understand why there's protesting, there's rioting, and there's looting. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I get it. Because if we don't own any of this, why should we care? But there's got to be a better way than that. And I think the way to do it is just to make ourselves self-sufficient again, like Black Wall Street, to where we don't need them for anything, because we had what we needed before we came to this country. And for them to brainwash us for over 400 years and keep changing the plan is because of the fact that, you know, it just shows that we are resilient as a race. So that's my 2 cents worth. Back to you guys.
All right. You're totally correct. You know,
Shauna, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we hear just a lot about, personally, my issue with the business that I want to have, I want them all there. I want white people, I want Chinese, I want Mexicans, and I want everybody coming to me. So wouldn't we be better off building businesses that everybody can shop at?
It would be, but
no, but that's what we need. We need to strive for that. Don't
that
just
would
settle
be
for
the end
black.
result.
Yeah,
That would be the end result. Yes.
But I'm just saying we're smart enough to build businesses, not just for black people. I'm talking about for everybody to enjoy. Now, granted, if we build them in the black community, we understand that we're going to get more black people there. But I just want us to think bigger than just us. You know, I want us to start thinking, why can't we be the next Amazon? Why can't we be the next Target
And
or
I
the
don't
next
see
whatever?
I don't see anything wrong with that, but we're not even united within our own race. And that's the reason why I'm saying we need to be able to educate ourselves. Now, there's nothing wrong with other nationalities coming along with what we're saying and what we're wanting to do. But there's other nationalities that are a lot more united than our own race is. And so for us to be able to have them trust us and believe us, we need to be able to show them. And so that's why I just say generalistically, because in my mind, I want to be able to address someone that they understand it on a very even playing field and even level of know your past. That could be anybody's nationality, but also analyze your present. Where are you right now in your life? Whether it's faith, finances, fitness, and then also in family. You know, and then other thing is just where your future, where are you planning to go from here? So I have no problem with other nationalities other than what my grandmother taught me, which is there's good and bad in every race.
Correct.
It's just you don't know what's good and you don't know what's bad. And we could have bad in our own race as well. I get that. But the whole idea is that we need to be able to be united and self-sufficient. And when I say we, it could be Black race, any kind of race. So if I'm coming across as only Black only and nobody else to come into it, maybe in the beginning it needs to be that way because we need to come across as united. But that doesn't mean that we lock everybody out of other nationalities as well. But right now, I just don't see that. And that's where my mind is. I mean, if there's somebody that wants to come along and be educated about what I'm sharing, I'm more than willing to share that. I'm not going to say no because they're not Black. I guess I'm just more prone to, I want to help my people, you know, get as further down the road as any other race, if not further.
Now, I understand. I've had my business for the past 20 years. Okay. Am I a Black businessman or am I a businessman or a businessman that happens to be Black?
A businessman that happens to be Black.
And my clientele is mostly white. But the point that what I want to get across, because I don't know if we want to go there right now.
Well, I mean,
It's got nothing to do with what we're talking about. That is because
the only reason why I said what I said is because of the topic that we had today.
Right. No, I understand that. No, and what I'm trying to get at, because am I a Black man? Yes, but am I a Black man? And what I'm getting at, who am I really? Okay. If I get down to the core of who I am, I'm a spirit with no race, no color, nothing else. And the same as you, and the same for every single white man that's out there. And what happens is we've gotten so far away from who we really are, of child of God, which every one of us are. We start breaking down into races and this and that and classes, and we've gotten so far away from our true nature. And Ron Richardson had asked me that question. He says, because I said the problem with the white people is they got away from their nature so bad that they evolved into something that they're not. And their true nature is just like everybody else. We're all spirits and we're all children of God. And how do we get back to that point? You see, when we get back to that point, that's when people really understand who they really are. Watch how things can change. But as long as we're, like you said, and we have to do that right now, understand that, because we're getting ran over if we're saying, I'm a spirit and blah, blah, this and that. But the ultimate goal is to get back to our real, true nature and who we really are. And we're at that level of peace and harmony where we are working together. Now, I didn't want to get into that conversation because it can go a lot deeper than that. But I'm telling you, if you can get to that point where you could, to your true core, to who your center, who you really are, and help other people get to their center. See, because if you think you came from a monkey, you're going to act like you're a monkey. But if you understand that you came from a God and God's DNA in you, and then you can understand that with God's DNA, there's nothing that you can't do. And see, these are the messages that should be taught, and we need to get out to people. But right now we're just clashing and fighting and clashing and fighting, and not really working on getting back to who we really are. So,
well, I think that's going to get their initial attention, depending on their age group, is that we are trying to help just our own right now because of this pandemic that's going on, and it's not just a virus. And the other thing is the different approaches that we have. Sometimes we have to show something that we might not necessarily want to use. I mean, like the example you gave was the type of car you drive, the type of clothes you wear, the way you carry yourself, you know, the money that you use. It shows that you have money, will grab their attention. Is that what we
Right.
want them to think? No, but if it grabs their attention, to hold it for a moment so that we can get the education that we want to get into them, or the information we want to get into them, then so be it. That'll be one avenue to do it. But I mean, you know, as long as we don't see any unity, it's just going to be scattered nonsense. And that's what's going on right now. And I agree with you. It shouldn't just be one color, one nationality, but we do need to show some type of unity. I mean.
We do need to get back that you're and I talk all this center stuff and who my true nature and who of course, but man, I'm black. I'm black and I want to build black business and I want to help black people. But in the center of all, I understand who I really am. And I'm trying, and I want other people to get to where understand who their real nature is. That's all what I'm saying. But for right now, I understand that is the game that I have. That's the cards that I'm dealt with, and I got to deal with that. But I understand I'm much, 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 much more.
Oh,
and because
absolutely.
I know that I'm
God didn't. Yeah, absolutely. Because God didn't put us on here to be one
correct.
nationality. Otherwise, we would all be the same, and we're not. So you're right.
No, we adapt to our environments. But
right.
but that center right there is what's it keeps me in the fight. Because I don't know about y'all, but man, I know y'all. Sometimes you feel like quitting.
Right. I feel you, man. I feel you on
It
that.
can be exhausting. It can be exhausting. I will agree. It can be exhausting. But what alternative do we have? Because we already know if we don't do anything, or we just give up for even a moment, it's just going to be setting us further back.
Yeah, I had that conversation with somebody a little bit ago. You know, because I get frustrated with things. I'm a human being. I got feelings. But I also said, hey, listen, I'm still going to do what I got to do. It don't make a difference what they do. I still have to stay focused on what I'm doing because nobody else is doing it. And they don't have the strength or the courage. It takes a lot of energy to get all that negativity all the time. And you got to throw it off with positivity. It can drag on. It's like carrying 3 elephants on your back. Sometimes you get tired. But going back to the elementary genocide, we have to know, like I said, have knowledge of self. Know who we are. I can go into a whole nother story. But as far as knowing who we are, do we really know who we are? That's the question. Who are we really? We didn't come on. We got taken over here on slave ships, 400 years of brainwash, beaten in, you know, when you put out that religious stuff, we got to know Constantine, all that stuff that came in there. But if you really want to look at it, go over there. We always say the writings on the wall. What does that mean? The writings on the wall. We go back to Kemet, all the way back to understand the hieroglyphics. What you've been taught is what they've told you. And we already know they speak with forked tongue. So do you really know who you are? We're spiritual anyway. We're God-like. We're born that way. But as you grow up and you get into society, guess what? You tend to leave that. You tend to go to what they say. But we're born with it initially. And once you get, like, I love my parents for this because I was brought up in Afrocentric elements. And in that, understanding Kemet, Al-Kebulan, Ethiopia. Most of us don't even understand. A lot of people I travel around, they don't even know Egypt is in Africa. So you have to when you don't understand that, you really don't understand who you are. You don't understand that the Middle East, that's not the Middle East. That was in Africa. Where you see a Middle West, a Middle South, a Middle North? No, the Middle East comes from what they wanted to call it. Now that's what we call it. It's really Africa. But you don't understand that. So how can you say you know who you are when you don't know where you come from? And with that, you got to take out the meta-netta. I asked Black, have you ever read the meta-netta? No. Do you know the 42 principles of Ma'at? All they have done is stole from, as they've done everything else. Now we are so brainwashed, miseducated in religion, in education, in so many other ways, that we don't even search for the truth. And like the brother said earlier, Google it. It's right there. But we won't even, I tell people all the time, don't ask me. Go read the meta-netta. You're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you whatever. Go find out where it really started. Go read the writings on the wall. Guess how many do it? Probably none. One maybe. But we've been studying all of their stuff. So what are you really? You really don't know. We got the spirituality because God is born. When we're born, we understand that. But we've been taught so many wrong ways. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I had my grandfather sanctified, full of the Holy Ghost preacher. I had my mother in the Nation of Islam. But as we go out on our journey, we find out other things. When I went to Africa, I found out this. I was like, wait a minute, whoa, this is not like they telling us. That's why when we travel, we find out different things. I went to Vietnam, you deal with the Montagnards, you know, they Black people. Go to Hawaii with the Samoans, they Black people, they love us. We the only ones that, you know, like somebody said in one of the Hidden Colors, we hate who we are, African, we love who we can't be, European. I'll say that again. We hate who we are, African, we love who we can't be, European. Who taught you, as Malcolm said, who taught you to hate your nose? Who taught you that your hair was not good? Look at how, you know, not to say anything about, you know, what's going on, but all we got to look, God gave you the best thing you have. Whatever he gave you, that's the best there is. Why are you trying to alter it to look like somebody else? I'm just going to say, you don't want to, but that's what we do. And if you love yourself and you are the best, why would you want to be like the rest? That don't make no sense. We have to understand that we, not only in physical beauty, mental, psychological, architecture, doctors, lawyers, we have so many, archaeology, we are always the best, but we pass it and give it to them because we think, hey, they give us, like Carol's daughter, raised that great product line and gave it over to L'Oreal. Now what do we got? Nothing. BT, what do we got? So many times we sell out for a trinket like they did with Shaka Zulu. If you ever watch Shaka Zulu, and the most definitive part was when he said, hey, Shaka Zulu may have that, but guess what we got that they don't know it. We got the power of double talk. They know how to double talk us to death. And like even in the video, the problem with Black people, we want to be 100. We think everybody's supposed to be fair. Ain't no fair. Learn how to do, like Shashu, the art of war. Understand, make them think you got something when you don't have something. When you don't have something, make you think you got it. We got to understand how to play the game. And as far as business is concerned, yes, but I understand we do want everyone buying from us. We do want that. But the problem is when we get that money, we're not putting it back in our community. Okay, so what? We go out there and we get all these people, white people, Chinese people, whatever, they can buy from us. But what are we going to do with our money? Oh, we're going to give it to them. No, we keep it for ourselves, just like they do. There's nothing wrong with that. But first, before we even get there, we got to have our unity up out, just like Kelvin said, just like everybody's saying, we don't stick together. How can we formulate anything until we stick together? We have to have a united front before we do that. But before we go out and sell everything with everybody else, we got to do it within our own community. We have to let others see that we are the dominant, the greatest people on earth. And then they can learn. Once we get to the top, yeah, we are loving people. We got big hearts. They don't. And that's what we have a problem with. We trying to be like, treat them like they treat us. That's why they scared. That's why they killing us in the streets. They're doing whatever, because they are so afraid of what they've done to us. If we got power, oh my goodness, they're afraid that that's what we're going to do to them. And that's not.
And we don't even retaliate in that way.
Correct. So we are very loving people. Hey, they can come in our church and shoot us up, and we still pray for them. Now, something is a little bit backwards with that. I don't understand it. But if you read the Bible or Quran or any, they had wars all the time. It's nothing. When somebody comes and take your stuff, you better understand you got to fight back sometimes, be it mentally or physically. And like Kelvin says, you know, he says we don't have to fight no more. I kind of agree with that. I don't totally agree because I come from a military background and I know what they're capable of. I've seen what they can do. I understand they get in, they'll infiltrate you. And if you have something, why you think they destroyed Black Wall Street? They don't give a dang. They will take it. But I understand. I don't mind. Let's go build it. But on the other side, like once we get it, I do want to have somewhere we can train. We can, even if it's for having physical health and being able to have wellness, we still have to be able to go obstacle courses. It doesn't make it, that's fine. They do it. We can do it. Not a problem. I'm not saying we have to go to war. I'm not looking for any war. I'm like them, but I'm like Malcolm. If they cut my hand, I want to make sure they don't cut nothing else. And I do believe in, I love everybody. I like I said, I got all kinds of friends, all kinds. But I love my people first. And it's like they love their people first. I got a brother that was in the Marine Corps with me, and you know, we both went out, we were both in the car business, both went out to do the same thing. But guess what? He got the loan. Now he got car dealerships. He said, oh, you can come work for me. But see, we didn't get the same treatment. You get what I mean? So it is what it is. I'm not upset about it, but I know I have to be 10 times better. I don't mind. We still talk to this day. He's a Trump supporter. He think that, but he's a Caucasian guy, so he doesn't understand our plight. I hire Black people. You know, I have a couple of them on my job, but no, look what they gave you, a whole bunch of stuff. We've been here, we built this land, and we got nothing. I was in the car with him before, and he doing some illegal stuff. I'm not doing it. I'm the passenger. They pull him over and pull me out the car. This is what the society we really live in. It's not fair. No, I didn't like it, but he had to stand up for me, cuss the guy out. We've been away. So the guy left alone. If that would have been me in the driver's seat, I probably wouldn't be here if I would have cussed the cop out and pushed him around. But we don't have the same thing. So we have to understand that business, it ain't the same way. I understand. I got a lot of my brother friends that got a lot of white folks to buy from them. But I'll tell you what, you try to bring a bunch of black people in that same area, they're going to be like, hold up, partner, I like you. I don't know about bringing an extra 100 motherfuckers in. They don't want that. They're going to really trip out on you. Hold on now. I don't mind having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you ain't going to bring no tribe. Whereas we'll bring, is just look at the businessmen, we'll bring hundreds of thousands into their stuff. There's a big difference.
They don't mind you bringing 100 Mexicans.
Say that again?
They don't mind you bringing 100 Mexicans.
Oh, no. And when we were at convention, a lady stood up and said she was a Latino, stood up straight in front of the crowd. I'm a Latino. We're going to come in here. We're going to take over all the Latinos in the world, blah, 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 all in front of the whole. Now, if I said that, all the black people, oh, it's a problem in front of a white company. Am I correct? I mean, it's like, hold on, what you doing? You're racist. But they can do that. They can say that all day long.
And if they would have
gonna make America great again.
If he's from Africa, he said, I'm gonna bring in all the Africans.
Say that again? I can't hear you.
If he was African, he would have said, I'm gonna bring in all the Africans. Okay. And no one would have said nothing. If I'm gonna bring in all the Filipinos.
Right.
But if we would have said all the blacks, that may have caused the stink. So I hear you on that.
That's because there is no one like the black man on the planet, period.
Well, listen, not the black, not any, most races would not have survived that trip that we survived. And
none of them would. That's why they brought us.
That's right.
Instead of going over to come to where we were.
And by the way, in one of those documentaries that you put out, Dennis, they did bring certain tribes from Africa, and they stopped getting from those tribes because they couldn't break those.
Right.
they said these niggas they crazy. Can't bring no more. They stepped into Brazil.
Their plans are always being told to us if we really hear what they're saying. They've been telling us for the longest time to make America great again. Some of us didn't catch what that meant. Now we're starting to see what that means.
Oh, we knew. As soon as he said it, we all know it again. Make America white
but not
again.
Everybody. I mean, if you think about the ones that, and the thing that I wanted to say was, it's not all of our, how can I put this? As parents, we always want to have our children have a better life than what they went through. But sometimes you can go just a little bit too far, or you don't remember where you came from, to educate them so that they know what their past is. And so part of this is that, like Dennis said, we remember what it was like. We don't want that. So then we start to get away from that. And when the further we get away from it, we forget to educate our kids and tell them, this is where we were, this is where we want to go, and this is why we don't do such and such and such. So then the next generation, it just gets diluted to where there is nothing else there to let them know. So they don't know. This has been brainwashing for 400 years. It's not going to take overnight to be reprogrammed.
Well, I told my son, and I taught my kids this, as my daughter's probably looking at me right now, and I told them, do not trust white people. They may act like they're your friend. They may say, she laughing at me, but I told them.
But you just said we need to incorporate all nationalities.
I told them, do not trust them. They may shake your hand and have a knife in your back at the same time. Don't trust them. And my son, one day he got back from work. He said, guess what happened, Dad? I said, what? He said, man, this lady tried to get me fired. I said, I made a mistake. They corrected it. It wasn't a big deal. He went on vacation. When he came back, the lady had told the management tried to get him fired. I said, was she white? He said, yeah. He just said the funniest thing. She was the first one to come speak to me. She said, hey, how you doing? How was your vacation? You see what I'm saying? But I told him, because he never really experienced that. He never had, my son is a good kid. He's a nerd. He ain't nothing like I was. And, and he grew up, I don't know if he even got if he got 3 or 4 black friends, I don't even know if he does. But he grows up in a, you know, in a different environment, and that's what I had to tell him. I said, look, son, do not trust them. And he said, man, it happened just like you said it would. My wife said the same thing, because he told her first. He said, I bet she was white. He said, yeah. And you're right. We have to keep instilling that, you know, because just because you think you made it. Look at OJ. He thought he was white. I guess he was white because he did get away with it.
He's still paying to this day, though.
And this the part that, and this irks me more than anything. They always come back to the OJ trial, and I have to come back and I say, look, dude, white people killed millions and got away with it. We got one, and you can't even give us the one. He's still complaining about that when you turn on the radio. You know, I have to turn. I said, look, let's talk about Emmett Till, since you want to talk about people who got away with murder. You know, let's talk about all the black people that got. You want to talk about people who got away with. So don't come talk to me about OJ.
That's right.
So,
right.
I had to get that one off my chest. I've been brewing that for a while.
All right, Nadia, did you want to say something else?
I was just gonna say, and the glove didn't fit, so it's not like, I mean, so you know, it's just bogus. We have to take care of ourselves, and we are in such better standing possibility with black men on the team. There is nobody like you all on the planet. Don't you ever let anybody tell you something to make you feel less than.
See,
There
it
is
can't
nobody,
happen.
there is
It
no
starts
man
with them.
on the
But
planet
it
like
can't.
the black man.
And the difference between me and Bobby Dennis, where I grew up, I was the only white guy. I mean, only black guy in the school. Me and my brothers. I was Superman. I mean, I'm the only black guy and all white people. I'm Superman. They love me because I can do things that they can't do. I can outrun them. I can outjump them. I can do this and that. I mean, I was Superman. When it came time to pick something, I was always the first guy picked. When it came to the debate class, I was the first guy picked. I mean, I was Superman, and I wish my sons could have experienced being growing up around. I mean, just that one point, because I'm telling you, they they cannot keep with us, and that is why they don't really like us. I want them to, because I went on talk radio and talked to some people the other day, and I wanted to, and everybody was asking, black people were sharing their experiences, and all I wanted to know was, why do you guys hate us? Just tell me that. What did I do to you? What did we do to you for you to want to keep us down? How come you didn't want? We know why you didn't want us in the NBA, because we saw what happened. We understand why you didn't want us in the NFL and the Major League Baseball. We understand all that, you know, and that's why they didn't want that black president, because they knew once that black guy got in there and did that job, it was may have never been another white president, because you saw what happened in Atlanta. They got one black mayor and they can't get another white one. Because they turned it out in Atlanta. Black people are balling up in Atlanta. They turned it out. And I knew when Obama got in there, and I said, they let this boy do his job, they ain't gonna be in that. I'm looking at the next black president as soon as he got in. But again, after this and that, we'll be back.
And also look at the fact that everybody's taking a knee now. I mean, he did that on his own by himself, got took, you know, and it's always the first one that gets the most beat up over it. Lost his job. They tried to keep him out, not pay him. And now we have a whole entire medical field that are just coming out on their break, on their lunch hour, kneeling for 8 minutes and 46 seconds or 43 seconds. So it's always going to be hard in an uphill battle when you're the first, or when you're trying to rejuvenate something that's been gone and you're trying to rejuvenate to bring it back again. So no, I'm not excluding any other nationalities, but we need to start with our own first.
We do. And the last, if you guys don't know the real story about Colin Kaepernick, he wasn't even, only thing he did was sit down during the national anthem. He just sat on the bench. The white people made it a protest. And they, instead of them standing out of attention during the national anthem, they're taking his picture, they're putting in video, and they brought this to everybody. And they asked him, why is he doing it? He just said, you know, I don't like the way black people are treated in America. That's why I don't stand up for the flag. So they tried to turn it into the military. So a military guy came to him and said, listen, instead of sitting, just take a knee. And that would be, we do that for all of our soldiers. We take a knee. So he wasn't even trying to make a stink out of it. The white people did.
Wait.
He wasn't even trying to protest. He just said, for me, I'm just not standing. And the thing that I can't understand, it's a piece of cloth. I don't understand this flag thing. I mean, you paid for it. You can burn it, bury it, do whatever you want to do it. I don't care if you do the crip walk in the middle of the 50-yard line during the national anthem. But for white people, it means it's their privilege. That's all that darn, the national anthem, the flag, and everything else. Because I don't know about you. I know you fought for this country, Dennis, and I know you
I
did.
mean, it means a little bit, but don't
Well,
mean.
I just, yeah, but I understand that. But and I understand the flag. But is it the flag, or is it? Because I see you have that flag behind you, so that means
My flag. That's my flag.
that's your flag. You know, my flag is my heart. You know, and whatever that's my flag. You know, and I fight for what you know what's right in my heart. You know, and everything else are just symbols to me. But I understand for some people that stuff is
It means
precious.
it's just like spirituality. I mean,
Yeah,
the red in this flag is to me for the blood that we shed as black people. The black is for our people, and the green is for our land in Africa or where else we go. Now I look at the white flag. I'm like, Public Enemy. Don't get me. I like the American flag too, but I understand what Public Enemy said. The red is for the blood that they beat out of us. The white is for the people. The stripes are for the whip marks in our back. The blue is for the black eye. The blue, they beat us up so bad. And the stars is for when we get knocked out. That's all we see in the stars. That's a different way to look at the flag. You know. But
yeah, I understand that we all have different things, and the national anthem, I appreciate it, but to me, it's a song to me. You know.
That's why, while we're talking about all this, the reality as I get it is, even according to white folk, is that they were really black folk. They are black folk. They just simply got caught behind the ice age, and they lost their melanin, and they came out sad, pitiful, mean, angry, hungry, bestial kinds of folks. But if you look at the anthropological kinds of information, including them, Stanford, all of their universities, say the first person on the planet, the oldest remains they could find, are ours.
Yep.
And the only people that they cannot trace their beginnings are black folk. So when we talk about going after economic solvency for all people, yeah, because all people are black people. It's just like Kelvin, as you experience, some of us do some of this, some of us do some of that. So they happen to be that child that needs to be sat not just in the corner kind of thing, but they need to be shut down. And there's always going to be some who are going to turn around. But we talk about, there's no man who got here except coming through a woman.
That's right.
And there's no person who came through here without coming through a man in terms of color. And you all can create all the different colors. However white folks got it, and however we lost it, we're still all here together on the same planet. So we have to be wise in all the decisions that we make about it. But once they've had a chance to do what they've done over the thousands of years that they've done it, we have to get that there's a pattern, and that with the flag and with the books and them changing his story, all of those things we have to look at from a completely different perspective. And we have to recognize that they are fighting for their survival as minus birth rate people. And they have become very good at learning what other people know, or at least being able to shysterize or get that information from those people and then turn it into their own.
so that the most of us have no idea how great we are or how long we've been here and how much of how many different things on all the planets, I mean, on all the continents that we have survived, that everyone is just a different version of us.
Correct.
So again, Black man, Black men, Black people, I applaud you. I am so grateful that you are on the call. I am so grateful that we continue to have these and that more of us, different ones of us, come on the line. We get to share and that we continue to grow this.
All right, thank you.
And the only thing I just wanted to say was
With
that this
money,
just proves.
Kelvin.
Oh, go ahead. I
Lots
think
of money.
The only thing I just wanted to say is that this just proves that we are not no 29 days out of the year. We are 365 days a year, 24/7, 365, 7 days a week, or however you want to look at it, that we need to be educating ourselves as well as the next generation.
So have you anyone ever told a white person that they got black DNA in them?
They know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I have
you
a
think they know
relative
that?
that doesn't want
Hold
to
on. Do you
recognize
think
her
they
own
know that?
race.
Did you know that these guys, hold on, these guys went out and did that 23andMe, did all this, and almost wanted to commit suicide when they found out that they came from Africa.
That's right.
These white people were pissed, mad.
And a lot of them are brokenhearted when they find out that their people are doing, like if we were to allow them on this session, and you know, some of us may have some of them sitting on the couch watching and listening, but the bottom line is the current generation of them know very little because their ancestors set it up so tight that they simply get the benefit of what the ancestors have done.
Yeah, tell them to go to Google.
No, because even when you go to Google, you get they have twists. It's like the pyramids, where there used to be only brown and black people in the hieroglyphics and on the writings in the internal portions of the pyramid.
Lightening them up.
They are whitenizing them now, so and pinkenizing them. So if you didn't go before all this happened and see them, you would think that now it's going to be changed. They are taking slavery out of the history books.
Yeah,
So,
but again, we don't have to allow, because the Jews don't allow people to forget about the Holocaust. We just don't allow them to forget about that, because they also talked around that black people sung zippity doo-dah zippity day every day while they were a slave. And they weren't talking about them getting beat and all the other kind of stuff.
that's right, because the Jews were part of that.
Well,
even blacks were part of that.
Part of what?
Slavery.
Right.
So,
but I'm saying we cannot let them forget, because the Jews.
Right.
Yeah, we just don't let them forget.
Our story must still go on.
It must, and yes, and you're right, Did we need to keep instilling that to all of our children, because it all starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all need to be Kunta Kinte and keep your history, your heritage, and find out about it and teach it.
That's what I'm saying.
Which means we need to get more adults, because the adults can't share it if they don't have it.
That's true.
Well,
I'm doing this because, you know, even though it's a small amount of us, eventually it's going to grow. A lot of people don't even, you know, I've been called racist for even doing it, you know, but I don't care. You know, that's your opinion. I know what the truth is. I see this as being a reality. It's our world. It's what we live in. How can we change it? The solutions, that's what I'm glad we're here, because we do talk about the solutions. When we talk, the guy said elementary genocide is 70% of our teachers are Caucasian women. And then he also said the corporations, the white men, are the ones that are teaching the white women what to teach our black children. And that's why I like Dr. Chika Akua, who is the transformation of teachers, he's teaching them how to learn Afrocentric ways of teaching our people how to learn, because what we're learning in schools is not geared toward us. And you can go to school and you talk to somebody who may have a doctorate, or whatever the case may be, but they don't believe they're black. Or they say, oh, you tripping. It's no racism. Oh, where you live at? But it's not that they live where they live at, it's what they've been taught. They've been miseducated. Like they said here, no education is better than miseducation. And I think Henry Clark, says something about I forgot what it was, but to the effect of something where you're educated but you're dumb anyway. You're dumb, educated fool, pretty much. I don't know the exact words, but you can be educated, but you can be an educated fool. You know, some people that don't have no education are smarter than people with degrees. People with no degrees are smarter than people with degrees sometimes. Not all the time, but because they don't have a clue what's really going on. They've been miseducated, misinformed, and they really buy into the white supremacy, forget about our people. And we can't do that. We can't allow anything to be forgotten. That's why I always like to go back to Mansa Musa, who was the richest man on the earth. And we're going to see the wealth of the black race. I'm going to show you that. And you think people in America, the black people in Africa are very wealthy, and they don't go by entertainment and sports. They earn it. They got cocoa. They learn how to have real businesses. As you look at Kobe, what can Kobe's kids do? You know, but if you got a business, that can last on forever, ever. You only got so much talent. It might skip a generation or two. But when you know how to do business, it's going to go on and on and on. I was in Albany, and that's why I get this 100 years. It was a white family, a picture up on the wall, 100 years of service as a car dealership. And the aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody was family. When can we do that? That's what we need to do. And that's why we're having this dialogue today, because we do know that we don't have that. Kelvin and LaShawn brought it up. How can we do that? Yeah, I want to sell, but have everyone buy from us, but where are we going to spend our money? I want them all to buy from us, but I want us to spend our money with our people. That's
here's the thing. When Snoop Dogg, Eazy, Ice Cube, when all those dudes start getting paid millions of dollars, they moved out of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they moved out of the neighborhood?
Because they had lived enough in lack and all the problems that we have in our community.
They were getting robbed. People were trying to rob them.
Part of the same thing.
But they forced them out of the neighborhood. See, that's a problem that we got to be able to, you know, you want to stay in your community, you want to help, and then when you stay in your community to do all this stuff, they're forcing you to move.
But as we understand all of these different dynamics, we get to come in and do it differently.
Correct.
I understand that. I'm just saying that's part of the problem, and these are the solutions that we have to work on. I mean, you know, we can't cut out. We see this and we see this. Now all of a sudden, I want to stay in my community. I want to live in my community, and I want to do this in my community. But my life is in danger because I'm in my community.
But that's why I see is we're gonna have our own community and foresee our own police stations. And that's, I mean, we have to do that. If we don't do it, they won't come. We have to build our own community. You and I, we get enough, or whoever we are, we like each other. Why shouldn't we live around each other? You know,
right? I understand.
We can build that. Now they can see a formidable black neighborhood. But no, we ain't gonna let no riffraff in, because that's what we hire in this police department that we want. Oscar, and when they mess up, we'll fire. It ain't gonna be like we are not gonna have the sheriff department coming. No, you can't come in. Nah, it's all in. You may send a patrol car over here, but we got this. They can't do it if we had the financing and the money to do that. But we have to be able to build that. I understand it's not gonna be done in a day.
I understand.
But that's how we do it. We can sit here and complain. You're right. We're gonna get chased out. I didn't want to live in Cabrini Green. I had friends in the Cabrini Green. They would shoot. You can't even run track. They're shooting at you on the track field. You know. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Why do we have? I mean, and I'm gonna tell you, it was almost like pride when you're in LA and you're talking about, I'm from the Rolling 60s, or I'm from here, I'm from Grape Street. It was like, whose gang was the toughest? Whose gang can inflict more damage on the next gang? Black on black, and for what?
Nothing.
That's the thing. And everybody was so proud.
We were not taught to love each other. We were trained in the slave annals. You can read about how white folks specifically designed the whole slavery thing. How do you make a good slave? How do you keep them for thousands of years? How do you make it go generationally down and down and down? And we're still in that now.
No, I think men just like to be tough. No, I just think men like to be tough, and they like to keep, they instead of using their
Hey,
mind,
all
they
them
want to be
gangbangers
tough.
up in the hood, when they come to the Marine Corps, they act like punks. Where my mama?
Yep.
So I'm just telling you, from
I
what
agree with
I
you, man.
experienced,
I agree with you 100% because most of them are punks.
right.
I
So they
agree
ain't hard.
with you.
They ain't about being hard. They ain't got no family, so they look into that as family.
And that's the family. And the other part too, everybody that I know, especially the guys who committed the murders and all this other stuff,
Okay.
the one thing that they had in common was they never felt love.
That's it.
Never felt love.
Kai
They
got
had
her
that.
hand raised, so right after you finish, I'm gonna let
Yeah,
Kai go.
they had that black man who killed that white lady, his daughter.
Woo.
And the white lady went to the prison to find out why. She kept coming. It turned out that black dude cries like a baby every time he talks to that white lady because that white lady is her mother now. He said if somebody would have loved me the way he perceived that white lady loved her, he wouldn't be in jail. The white lady calls that man her son. And that man killed her daughter. But it was all because, again, they never felt love. And the love is the gang. And I've seen it happen, and they all tell me, man, I'm with the people that I love. And that one dude, I don't know if you guys read a book, this book, a guy called Monster Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And Monster Cody was a gangbanger out here in LA.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he said his brother had made a comment. He says, we say we love each other. Then you turn around and you shoot somebody on another set and you don't even tell me. And then they come around and they shoot me for hanging out in the corner. So what I'm getting at, it's a false love that these guys are trying to portray that they have with these gangs and stuff like that. It ain't real love.
Right.
So the bottom line is, if we get our act together, we get our money together.
As we get our act together.
Yeah, as we get our act together. Thank you, whoever corrected me. As we get our act together, we have the ability to go out there and show people that we really care. Because Dennis says, what people don't care how much you know
until they
know how much you care.
and when we get out there and when we can put our money where our mouth is and we can actually help build these communities up, I think we can make change. But it's going to require us working together. I say, what is it? Economic power and economic unity.
That's it.
Those are the two things that we got to have, and if we get those two things, we can really change from a love-hate, meaning that we hate ourselves, to actually we learn how to love ourselves. And I think we get to that point, we can really make change.
All right, thank you, brother.
So that's my closing comments for tonight.
All right, Kai, you go ahead and then we're gonna get out of here. Kai, go ahead and say what you got to say.
Okay. I just think that, and everyone had very valid points. You know, I think that which we all already know it, but just to remind ourselves that these things didn't happen to us overnight. These were systemic things that were purposely done to break up the Black family, to miseducate our youth. And I think that and I'm just repeating some of the things that other people have said, but I think it's about having a holistic approach, because sometimes we look at one part at a time, but it's the whole of it. You know, it's, rebuilding Black relationships, because, as a family, and a lot of us have, been brought up in single parent households or know people who have done that. But I think that if we start thinking holistically about what's going to be the best thing for our race, that may mean taking time, teaching our youth, okay, don't be so quick to just go out there and have relationships and, procreate out of that. To really have a holistic educational system for our youth, because, they may be taught, okay, economics, but then they're not taught the relationship part of it or the spirituality part of it, and how to have the entrepreneurial mind. So I think that that it's imperative that we have a holistic approach, not just tackle one thing, but to look at everything as a whole to bring forth the results, because it's not going to happen overnight. But if we all are working together holistically, that's important. Another thing I want to point out, one of the things, and I haven't mastered it yet, but I recently heard about epigenetics. And the little bit that I've learned so far about it, just because YouTube is out there and there's so much information, that's helping me understand, because I'm a very spiritual person. I try to love everyone. And I really try to look at things as we're all human, we're all God's children. But the reality is, you know, me being in certain circles, working with people of different races, when something happens, they're not looking at me as a Christian or as a human being. They're looking at me as a Black person, and that's not me thinking it. That's things that have been brought to my attention. So I think that it's important for us to look at the holistic approach to healing the situation. Back to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody here. I'm going to see if B-Mott, do you want to say anything? You don't want to have spoken today. You want
to do before it gets too dark outside.
Okay. You got the floor.
Within the past week, I had a great granddaughter, 10 pounds, 22 inches. And her grandfather, Shelby Mott, I think he was taking a nap over there. Talia, Amaya.
Congrats.
10 pounds, 22 ounces.
Ouch, ouch.
On the operating table, hemorrhaging. She looked up, she saw that her doctor had blood up to his elbows and everybody was sticking things all around her. That's what her mother told me. But anyway, she made it. The baby girl made it. New one's gone. I mean, new one's here and one's gone. So just letting you know, we're still here.
That's right. That's right. Just let you know that's my mother's speech. So we appreciate that's my mom. And we got another one coming on June 21st. That'll be my first grandson. My daughter's having a son on June 21st. So June's a good month for us, I guess, you know. And congratulations again, Shelby, for being grandpa.
Yep. First one at 10 pounds, yo. 10 pounds.
10-pound baby. That's a thing.
No one.
22 inches.
Well, they have them 22 pounds.
Well, Dennis, B-Mod is your mom.
B-Mod is my mother. Yes.
Well, wow. Well, hello, Mrs. Mott. How are you?
Kevin?
Yes.
I'm fine.
I just want to say you raised a couple of good boys there. So, I mean, I could say I don't know Shelby as well as I know Dennis, but you should be very proud of that guy. I learned a lot from him, and he's gonna make some change in this world. So you did a good job with the boy, or the man. So, wow, I got your mom on the line. Go ahead, Dennis.
Hey, I learned everything I know from her and my dad. So you don't fall far from the tree.
I wish I could do that.
Appreciate all she's done. You know, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know half the stuff that I know. But she still got a library at the house. I go up there in New York, I can look on the shelf and be like, what's that? She got a library full. So, you know, out of all this stuff that I'm bringing to you is from my parents pretty much, because they instilled that in me when I was a child. So now all I'm doing is giving back what they gave to me in a different, now it's in video format versus the book. But all that gets out there, it makes me happy. So I want to thank everybody for getting on the line, and I'll be back here next Sunday at same time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing Elementary Genocide 3. And then from that, I'll find out, I got so many things out here on the library, right? So Elementary Genocide 3, it's the last one of the series. And if you know anybody else, get our people on this line. This is very important for us. Each one teach one. Let's double it up. You know, it's 9 of us now. Let's have 18 next time. Then the next time, 27. Let's build. Tell a friend. This is very informative for everyone. Let us grow, because this knowledge is power. And not only are we getting this, we can find a way to have the solution. And we have a think tank, in which we do with myself, Kelvin, Stephen, Shelby. We are, if you got any men out there, give us a call, because we have men who surge. We all are here trying to get us in the right mindset so we can grow our community. build our community, have the money to do what the things that we're talking about we want to do, and we can't do it without communication, collaboration, and cooperation. We're not in competition with each other. We're in cooperation so we can build bigger places and have bigger businesses and have more money for all our people. And that's what we're all talking about. We're all saying the same thing. All we have to do is just go out and do it. And this is the start. And I hope when we finish, we're going to be looking back and say, yeah, I knew we could do it. And then when we say we finished, we're really not finished, because I always say thousandaires want to be millionaires. Millionaires want to be billionaires. Billionaires want to be trillionaires. And trillionaires want to be gazillionaires. It's never ending. We're going to keep on going. Black power, all power to y'all. And I'll see you guys next week. Invite your friends. I'm telling you, let's do this. Elementary Genocide 3. Let's do it together. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Hey, Dennis, call me. Call me, Dennis. I got a report on yesterday.
All right, we'll do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.